Zach Wilson dominated Richmond, only for Mario Miranda to claim the top spot at Bristol that he so nearly won at Richmond Raceway, while leading just 5 laps on the dirt. Can the new points leader continue his streak of brilliance as of late at Talladega, or can another in this field escape the big one and punch their ticket to the MPI Cup Series playoffs? Hi, welcome to PitStop TV and the virtual Talladega Super Speedway for tonight's Detail Wizard 300. I'm Andrew Cardinale IV with not JP Costa. I do that so often with Zach Lindgren alongside this evening. And Zach, we've seen time and time again just how wild Talladega can be, yet how vital and pivotal it always is in any series that includes it on their schedule. And today will absolutely be no different.
Talladega always seems to be a crapshoot. Anyone can come to a super speedway like this and win, but that's what makes it so important for everyone at the top and at the bottom of the list. It throws such a curveball. Anyone can just come out and win. Some of the guys that have been dominating all season can win. Some of the guys that may have gotten off to a slow start on the season can come out and win. Somebody could be in here for points. It's such a big part of season-changing race, and it's a very roll of the dice track.
Once again, welcome to the Talladega Super Speedway and the Detail Wizard 300. Gladly bringing you this one this evening by Detail Wizard of Mountain Grove, Missouri. It's going to be a lot of fun at Talladega. It always is, and it always is that extremely super important track. It fits the name then Super Speedway. It is a crapshoot, Zach. I'm glad you brought that up right from the get-go. I know NASCAR likes to always push the "are you feeling lucky" kind of thing going into Las Vegas, but it really should be here at Dega. It's just that little bit different. The start-finish line being where it is really makes that much of a difference, and it did so even in the NASCAR Cup Series today. It's that little bit different that just sets it apart from anything else you've ever seen in auto racing. The start-finish line being, of course, down outside of pit exit, further down the front stretch and into turn number 1 almost. It just gives you that extra little bit of time to square up a move at a turn 4 and even use a bit of banking there through the tri-oval to change things up and make a move, and it even widens out for you. I think that's what really plays into it, is widening out to a 4th lane on that very bottom side. I guess it's actually a 5th lane on the very bottom side of the apron. It's bumpy down there, but you can use it. Of course, you see the 33-degree banked Talladega Super Speedway opened in September of 1969. So there's a lot that just it always hangs on Talladega. People's season hang on Talladega usually, and I think that, of course, rings true for Ross Chastain, who won another race today in the NASCAR Cup Series. Now the most recent winner at Talladega. The graphic, of course, put together before that race had run. But Zach, speaking of how important these races can be at Talladega, let's talk about the standings coming into today. I talked already about Bristol last week and how Mario Miranda grabbed another win, now moves way out front of the rest of the field, at least for a NASCAR playoff era point standings. That is a large gap. 36 atop the standings to Joe Sanchez, who's got a win, and Steven Stepien, who does not. An extra point back to Austin Reedy, and Alexander Muscarella sitting back there in the 5th spot. It is a wide open top 5 with just the leader starting to pull away. I think things are going to change, though.
That's what makes Talladega so special, is you've got 2nd through 5th right there with about 10 points in between and everyone else just kind of staggering off. But I mean, when you come to a platelet race like this, like Talladega, it opens up the door. It opens up so many possibilities for people like 10th on back, Mikel, Peel, Shoemaker to possibly jump up in points, possibly put themselves inside the top 10, or even 15th on back, Hendry, Reeves, Stevens, all back there 15th, 16th, 17th, 100+ points out to gain some points on some of these guys in front of them. It's such, even though it's so early in the season, having a super speedway like this is so pivotal to how a season continues or how it pivots on, for that season.
Now, Austin Reedy is the most recent Super Speedway winner in the MPI Cup Series, but he is not here this evening. I don't think he's run since COTA some time ago when we actually picked this series up about a month ago now. He has not been racing recently. Actually, no, he ran at Richmond at the start of the month, but regardless, he has not run as of late. Wasn't at Bristol, at least I don't recall, and is not here this evening. So that's going to change things up with him. The next recent Super Speedway winner that you have to look towards is actually Justin Winters down there in the 18th position, and it's not highlighted yet on the standings graphic, but we are taking 16, just like the NASCAR Cup Series, for the playoffs this season. Justin's on that verge, Zach, of pointing his way in. He's only, what, 18 back of Dustin Reeves? But a win tonight would certainly help. That would get him up there with guys like Lawson Peel and Warren Keith and Joe Sanchez that, sure, they can point their way in, but they have that win now to be secure.
I know I keep harping on the fact that it's such a crapshoot, but it could turn around the season. But if we put that into perspective, should, any person outside the top 16 win tonight, well, now that pushes everyone that doesn't have a win further on down the list. And like for the races coming up here, if some of these races aren't your style and you're trying to point your way in, it's going to be a very difficult ride. So that's why a lot of people put their chips on Talladega.
You can see the Season 5 schedule in front of you here. Of course, we went through, well, Austin, COTA, then Richmond, Bristol, Dirt, rounds 6, 7, and 8 here on PitStop TV. Now at round number 9 on the schedule. It's stop 10 next week for Dover Motor Speedway, and that's still weird to say, Dover Motor Speedway. Then it's Darlington and Kansas to finish up this first kind of line of races on this spread. And you can already see the All-Star races coming up, rounds like Charlotte and Sonoma and Atlanta that I think are so mainstay on this NASCAR style schedule and are going to have a big impact on the rest of the season, mixed in with newer rounds like Gateway, Nashville, Road America. It's going to be a very interesting, very pivotal next, I think, 2 months of racing at the very least, if not 3 all the way into the summer. And of course, that only sets up for that wild summer of northern races. Places like New Hampshire, Pocono, Indianapolis, Michigan, and Watkins Glen before we turn things back over to Podium Esports. And of course, if you're new to this whole spread, the gray numbers are not covered by us here at PitStop TV, either covered mostly by Podium Esports in the case of Daytona, Nashville, and the entire playoffs, including Daytona there, or Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thanks to them covering rounds 2, 3, 4, and 5 before we took over at Circuit of the Americas at round number 6. And of course, we did Richmond on a whim, so that's what those number colors mean as we get into qualifying now at Talladega. And qualifying, Zach, it matters to a point. I think it's good to always get that track position to start the day. It feels good as a driver, but at the end of the day, after 113 laps here today, it's not going to have any bearing on who finishes where.
You kind of touched on it. It's good to have that track position, but things change so rapidly at Talladega. The draft, we all know it, how it just works in very, very big ways when it comes to super speedways, especially for this new car and this new package on iRacing. Usually Cup cars, you get in single file lines, you stay in it, but this new car, you can side draft, you can get into 2, even 3 lanes. We've seen it in other at Daytona. We're obviously getting ready to see it now. It's just the draft is going to work so differently for these cars that a lot of positions can be changed very, very quickly.
Getting a look here at cars on the racetrack for qualifying. Here's Ross Harlow headed down the backstretch, down the Alabama Gang super stretch into turn number 3, 5th on the board currently in car number 5. And sitting around the high 170s here for speed around the racetrack as Mario Miranda goes to the top of the board. The Abruzzi Raceware number 99. Oh, man. Fresh off a win at Bristol, won at Phoenix earlier this season. He's got something going for him.
Momentum is all that matters. If you can get a little bit of momentum going, especially towards this part of the season, if you could start flexing your muscle just a little bit, start getting your name talked about within a league, within a series, you're already on to something special. Miranda looks like he's on his way to that.
Hey, Zach Wilson's back in the field this evening. Has not had a great season, but has that win to rely on. Not yet in the top 20, but is in the top 30 now in standings after winning and leading over 346 laps at Richmond Raceway. Dominated that race, absolutely, in the first pavement race. Now, since then, we'll see what he can do tonight at the Talladega Superspeedway. Brian Curry, slowest of the qualifiers so far in car 77. Curtis Kelly just ahead of him, and a beautiful Bobby Labonte. No, that's Dale Jarrett throwback there in car 29. I think some of these drivers taking it upon themselves to turn this into a throwback this evening. Kip Easley in, he's just Menard colors. I think those are a little more recent, but I know that Stempian is out there in a Dale Jr. throwback. And here's Dakota Curtis in car number 1 this evening. Good paint scheme on that number 1 car, orange with dope. I think that's edible cookie dough, isn't it?
I believe so. I mean, all cookie dough is edible. Let's be real.
Well,
but
okay.
I mean, but I believe so. I believe that's the sponsor on it.
All right then. So Dakota Curtis in a spiffy-looking number 1 car. That is new. I don't think I've. And you know what? I wonder if that's actually correct because his spec map is slightly off. But regardless, it's a good-looking car. Anyways, Travis Stevens out there in the Rockwell Security number 2. Now, he's on his first lap. You can tell because he's up on the top side of the racetrack here. Zach, explain what that does. The first lap was rolling around the top side up on the wall.
So the first lap, really, when people get up on the wall, is just, it creates the momentum, right? I mean, we've seen it in Cup, we've seen it in the Cup Series, we've seen it in the Xfinity Series, in real life, where they get to the high side, they create that momentum, and it gets a huge push out of each corner. And you see him right here in the tri-oval diamond it down. He's using the banking to gain just that tiniest bit more speed, that tiniest bit more momentum. But when you look at the leaderboard, how we all have the top 10 within half a tenth of each other right now, that little bit, just that little bit extra is going to help. It's going to go a long way, especially for qualifying at Talladega. And you see some of the drivers trying to take advantage of it and trying to put their name higher up on the list than what they may see right now.
Here's car 31, Daniel Holdcroft. He will wrap up lap number 1 and go 18th quick so far. Zach Wilson went 21st. Sean Kalis, that you saw briefly, is 22nd quick, and Travis Stevens is 23rd quick. So those drivers on their first lap trying to complete a second one. Actually, Wilson will go no faster. He has completed 2 laps, it looks like. Joseph Mahar is on the speedway in the Auto Tempest number 19, and he is completing lap number 1.
Notice right there, he didn't exactly go down through the tri-oval. He might actually go down here into turn 1. That's also a viable option, but just that time between the tri-oval and turn 1 not going down, people might be able to pick up just, again, that slightest bit of time and momentum on it. But it looks like he's holding that yellow line fairly decently, comes up out of the corner right on the dotted whites. It looks like he might have a good lap going for himself.
Good lap going for the Auto Tempest Toyota Camry as he heads down into turn number 3. There is something about this Gen 7 car, Zach, that I really like. Just the look of it on a speedway like this, when it is hauling the mail, it's got more of a pony car look to it. Even this Camry, which is a 4-door sedan in real life. I say real life. In reality, the street car, the production model, it's a four-door sedan. Even this Camry looks like a pony car. It looks fantastic out there. Of course, the Camaro and the Mustang, they fit right in. It just looks so much cooler on the racetrack, especially at speed like this. Mahar goes 5th quick. You're right, Zach. Very quick. Only 14 1/1000ths of a second off pole.
It's just that little bit of time, you know. We were, like I said, just from the tri-oval to turn 1 could be it. We see right now Shoemaker up here going to be on the high side, maybe completing his first lap or getting his first lap time down. I've heard some rumors about some people maybe staying down on the bottom for the first or for both of their laps. Here we see Reeves taking, I believe, his time now. I don't see him.
Just began lap number 1.
Oh, it just began. Okay. Well, so it's up to the driver's discretion whether they believe it gains that little bit of time or not. It's up to them whether they feel like that's gonna put them up in the top 10.
Here we go for Garrett Brown in car number 16 across the line the first time to begin his first lap. Now, these drivers get that almost dead lap because normally on iRacing, as soon as you cross the start-finish line for the first time on the racetrack, that begins your qualifying attempt. But, of course, here, you exit the pit lane before you cross the start-finish line. So you get that first kind of dead lap out there that goes down as a 1 minute and change. So now Brown officially begins his qualifying attempt. Here's Austin Shoemaker out of turn 4. We've already seen a bit of him so far in car 14. We'll see if he can go any faster. Well, not any faster. We can see where he goes on the board as he will complete his first lap here in just a few moments. So some of these drivers opting to wait a little bit in qualifying and go out there and make their runs. And Shoemaker opting to take this apron. I haven't seen this used in a while.
That's one thing that we didn't really point on. We pointed on how the bit of momentum from the banking can help you, but it's also just a matter of how smooth you can hold your wheel. If you're jagging your wheel through the corners and you're jagging your wheel through the straightaways, you're killing time in a sense. You're not keeping that car as straight as possible, as smooth as possible. You see right there, Shoemaker, really nice out of the corner, but this little bit of a wiggle down the backstretch, I don't know how much time he's going to be able to gain from that. It is his second lap, however,
and
so
he just jumped out of the throttle too. That was weird.
Yeah, so it's just how straight you can hold your wheel going down the stretches and how smooth you can have your wheel through the corners is also going to make just that little bit of time.
The Shoemaker likely, well, I don't know why he would have jumped out of the throttle there unless it was for a shift. We'll see if he maintains a good time around here. He was looking great on lap number 1, only 18 1/1000ths of a second off pole time, and now out of the tri-oval, opens up the wheel, carries that momentum to the line, and does not go any faster, about a second off of where he needed to be. So he will abandon that qualifying lap essentially, and will stay in the 6th position. Good run for him, 6th spot on lap 1. I'm surprised lap 1 seems to be the money lap for a lot of these guys, but hey, we're all learning new things with this next-gen car. Weather today, as we check into the Talladega Superspeedway, it's toasty. 87 degrees in the air, 120 on the racetrack. I've not seen that for an oval race in a while.
And that does play into effect as well. You get cars
Tires
like
might
these out on
actually
track.
be needed.
Yeah, tires might actually be needed. It could play a huge factor, even with super speedway like this, where you're just usually full throttle, pedal to the metal. It could play with the fact with the handling of the car, where bumps are had, and how aggressive the bumps can be, and if the car can handle it.
And now 125 degrees. It has jumped up 5 degrees on the racetrack as the air temp stays the same. So we advanced it a little bit in-sim time, and it got even warmer. That's going to be a problem for these guys. It shouldn't be too big of a deal. Even in the NASCAR race today, they were leaving left side tires on the entire race, or at least into the last 100, or at least I think into the last 50 laps for Eric Jones or whatever. But I think these guys will still be rather conservative on tire taking. They're not really going to take many sets. But anyways, let's go ahead and get down and meet our starting grid for the Detail Wizard 300. On pole, you've got Mario Miranda in car number 99. Outside pole, Bill Schoonover, car number 9. So Bill Elliott's font there, looking pretty good. And hey, it's not Coors on that number 9, but it is a number 9 Ford with a beer on it. Budweiser, it looks like. It might be good today. And you know what? It's Bill Elliott, Bill Schoonover. I don't know, man. It seems like something's working out there for him in position number 2 for our starting grid. Steven Stepien. Yeah, I think so. Steven Stepien, also with a good theme here, will roll off in the 2nd spot in the number 81. So you can see Bud is piloting a few cars up to the front of the field. Didn't quite expect that kind of thing today, but yeah, I think these guys are both going off for pretty good guys, I guess. Anyways, you get the point. Kip easily rolls off in the 4th position, and rolling off 5th, you find Joseph Mahar. There we go. Zach, I don't know what it is, but you're psyching me out today. I just want to point that out.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry.
Let's get back to it. Austin Shoemaker rolls off 6th. Starting 7th, you'll find Shane Wyatt. 8th, Ryan Kendall. 9th is Brandon Banks in the starting grid, and Warren Keith will round out your top 10 in car 42.
Continuing on with it, Parker Bland will be starting 11th. Ross Harlow will be starting 12th and just outside the top 10. Garrett Brown 13th. Alex Muscarella, I'm sorry if I butchered that name. I'm not good with them. Will be starting 14th. Dakota Curtis and Wyatt Brackett will be starting 15th and 16th right next to each other.
Oh, there's Austin Reedy.
Austin Reedy, there you go, starting P17 right next to him. Chris Progar to be starting to his outside. 19th and 20th will be James Kunkel. Yeah, James Kunkel and Isaac Monk to start inside the top 20.
Starting 21st, it's Sean Kalis. 22nd, Travis Stevens. Those are cars 43 and 2. Car 77, it's Brian Curry starting from the 23rd position on the inside of row 12 with Daniel Holdcroft outside. Starting 25th, you'll find Curtis Kelly in that number 29 car. Throwback to Dale Jarrett. Then Richard Swavely rolls off 26th. To complete your top 30, let's go. We've got Zach Wilson, Dustin Reeves, Ray Rogers, and Lawson Peel all the way back to 30th.
To continue on, we got Daniel Michael and Justin Winters going to be starting 31st and 32nd. This is a stacked field, a lot of drivers in this field, so it's going to be a fun race. Logan Sturgeon starting P33, Charles Phelps P34 to his outside. 35th will be Casey Knighton, and 36th, I'm sorry if I missed that name, and Cody Kinsley will be 37th, rounding out your field for tonight's race.
The field now working through turns 3 and 4. A good look at 37 NASCAR Gen 7 Ford Mustangs, Chevrolet Camaros, and Toyota Camrys getting ready to get this one underway. Glad you're joining us here on PitStop TV for this one. By all means, join the conversation on social media, be it on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Tag us well, either of those usernames, at PitStop TV on Facebook, at PitStop TV _ on Twitter, or at Pit_Stop_TV on Instagram. You can, of course, watch on Facebook, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, or Twitch. So plenty of places to catch PitStop TV action as we head into the Tri-Oval to get this race underway. It is the Detail Wizard 300, 113 laps, racing to the end of Stage 1. That is the completion of lap number 25, then lap 50 for Stage 2. Mario Miranda leading us down to the green. As we wait on this one, we're going to crank things up for the first lap. Let you hear the sounds of the sim. Green flag is out in the Detail Wizard 300. Through turns 3 and 4, the field getting into order now. It's single file up front. Miranda leading, then Stempian and Mahar in tow. Wide in that 4th spot. Kendall completes your top 5 as we head into the Tri-Oval for the first time under power.
This is what you can expect from this long of a race at Talladega. People just kind of finding their line, finding where the speed's going to come. Now they're going to use this time to kind of experiment. See, like I said, see where the speed's going to come, see where the momentum is. Right now, everyone, just like Andrew said, kind of single filed out on the bottom. And that usually happens when it comes to iRacing Sim, but like it's just an experiment right now, just to see where some of the boundaries are, what your car has, what you have versus what your competitors have.
Headed through 3 and 4 once more. You can see these guys just getting single file, about 5 cars on that top side. No momentum just yet. I think 6 cars up there now as they exit turn number 4 and headed down to the Tri-Oval one more time. Now, top side, only 5 cars strong. Progar's on the bottom, but Garrett Brown, one of those pioneers out there following Wyatt Brackett. And is that Harlow in front of him? I think it is. Curtis Kelly goes purple that lap, so 2 laps in the books. Kip Stevens there on the bottom side in car 27. A very calm and orderly start to this race.
Yeah, that was one thing that I was going to mention. I wasn't expecting some of the groups to break up the way that they did. I wasn't expecting them to line out as quickly as they did. But as you see right now, the high line caught the lead bottom group. They're now right on top of them. It looks like all 5 of them may still be there. I'm not for sure. Looks like it's starting to die back out. Here comes the inside line yet again.
Still on board with Garrett Brown. Mario Miranda's got a great view at the entire field behind him as Stempian stays honored to the back end of that Ford Mustang. And he will lead lap number 3 now. There are, of course, secondary groups, as we always see in these kinds of races at Talladega. Here's a few of them. Or here's one of those secondary groups, rather, across the start-finish line. Led by, it looks like, Dustin Reeves in car number 6. Warren Keith are behind. So this is 25th through 37th. That is 13 cars in a line back here. Some ways off the field. 3 seconds behind their next closest cars, which is the rest of the field. So 2 groups, and it's a 3-second gap between them.
You have triple-digit laps at a track like this where every single lap you're right on somebody, you're right next to somebody, less than a foot away from them. You know, it kind of... Well, we got one off the pace up there. I thought there might have been wrecked there. With smoke, I'm not sure what's happening. Maybe some contact as they're catching them very quickly. Brian Curry off pace.
Brian Curry down to the inside. The back group will go on by him rather easily, it looks like, or at least try to, as Curry stays on the bottom side, below that dotted white line. On to lap 5 now. You can see the entire group here just goes on by on that outside and gets reformed. There's one other car that's a little bit off pace. That is Curtis Kelly. So Curtis Kelly and Brian Curry having problems that lap as Kelly is off pace on the bottom side. Winters and Michelle go on by.
Saw on Curry's left rear, oh, there's some damage to the front of that 29, but we saw on Curry's left side rear there was a little bit of damage, maybe just a bad bump, maybe a checkup in front of him. Someone behind him didn't know. Maybe the 29 didn't know there was a checkup in front of Curry, and that's what caused it. Yeah, major damage to the front of the 29.
problems there for those cars. Let's go ahead and go back and get a replay of it as we complete lap 5 and Miranda continues to lead. Go back and see what might have happened for these cars. We'll go on board here with Curtis Kelly and get an idea of what happens. We're coming up to turn 4 where it happens. And I think, yeah, you're on par there, Zach. A checkup. Curtis didn't quite get the memo and just punts that 77 down to the bottom side.
See, there's really no fault of any driver. The 29 couldn't really see what was happening in front of him. Curry was just trying to stop to avoid a wreck, and it's just, you met in the middle. And it's unfortunate for those two cars, especially for the 29, to have damage on the front end like that already so soon in the race. As you can see right there, he gets a big suck up to the cars in front of him, but should he try to lead anything, it's going to be tough for him. Like we saw in Austin Cindric earlier today in the actual race, he tried to get up front, and every time he did,
goes a little high, then the 3 checks up. Kalis comes up to him, he stops. That is the big problem. Kalis about stops in line. Swavely has to check up for him, and Curry's got nowhere to go. Just gets on the brakes hard there, yeah. And Curtis Kelly he's trying not to hit him. Unfortunately, not able to.
It's just so quick too. You've got really no time to react to it. Everything happens on a dime here at Talladega, so you got to be on your toes. And unfortunately for those two drivers, rather quickly, got a little bit of damaged cars. But we got a stage break at lap 25. If you can stay on the lead lap, then I think you're going to be in a pretty good position.
Back up front, our field heads into the tri-oval one more time. I say one more time, we're going to see a lot more times through the tri-oval as Miranda continues to lead. But not by much. He's, of course, got Steffi right behind. Mahar still in line on that bottom side. On board here with Mahar, you can see Shane Wyatt out the rear view. And Ryan Kendall hanging on to a top 5. Then you get the side-by-side. Bill Schoonover bottom side. Ross Harlow top. Hip easily there on the inside as well behind the 9 car. And, oh, crashing! Ross Harlow in the wall. That is our first yellow today. At least it should be. Waiting on it from race control. Still no yellow flag.
There
it is.
Stopped up high. There it is.
Oh, we're still crashing. Justin Winters. And more. My goodness. Heath goes on by. Winters stops. Progar involved. The 17 already done. And Curry will come up on that one late. There's Harlow's machine. Our first big one. Didn't have to wait too long.
May have just been a miscommunication. Let's see what started it here. It started on the outside line, the leader
10.
of the outside line. It may have just been another rogue bump, and that's the thing with these cars. It's easy to button hook someone like that. Bump, bump, gets off, can't, It happens so quickly.
Dakota Curtis to the inside, and big damage there for the 17 of Progar. Harlow stops on the top side, and who in the world hits him? Yeah, Justin Winters, ARCA brakes, comes in, hits Warren Keith. I mean, there's no excuse. I'm sorry. But when the caution's out for that long, all you're doing is ruining your race and everybody else's. We've been on this. The joke ARCA brakes has existed long enough for that not to happen.
The one thing that we were waiting on was the caution there, and it might have just been a miscommunication, but you're not wrong.
True,
you know, we still got a... There is smoke, and you also got a car sitting up there. Very, very vibrant, bright yellow car on the outside. But again, you know, you're at Talladega, you see cars spreading, you're just trying to get into open, clear track. Next thing you know, you've got a car sitting dead right in front of you. You see cars spreading, can't really see. He gets into one, trying to slow up. Now he could probably see him, maybe thinking he's going to get off the track, and it's just too late from there.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to check up sooner. He got back in the throttle a couple of times, and I hate to rag on anybody specifically. It's nothing against Justin Winters. It's nothing against, I forget who the other one was now. By all means, it'll come back to me here in a second. But you got to check up sooner. When you have all that time in the world, I mean, eons almost, you can see that car stopped ahead. You got to stop sooner. I get they're trying to get through the crash and everything, but I think that's our first good lesson.
We were talking earlier about how it's a roll of the dice and it could benefit so many people, but this is also the downfalls of Talladega right here. A lot of races can be lost, and a lot of races were lost because of a simple mistake from a couple drivers, from just the slightest miss bump, the slightest miscue. A lot of races already down the drain.
Let's get a ride on board here through this crash with Chris Progar. Wasn't able to run last week at Bristol, wanted to turn things around today. And it's not gone that way. The driver out of the Midwest, sporting fastball on his car. Happens that quickly.
No, there's no way you can even avoid that. You see it happening to the outside, you could try to get as low as you want, but as soon as cars start spinning, you're just... you're along for the ride.
Let's go on board now with Dakota Curtis in car number 1. He was on the top side, so he was in this group that was trying to make way on the top. Only 2 cars behind Wyatt Brackett, who kind of starts this off, and next replay will be the 2 cars that start all of this. This is Dakota Curtis in the backstretch. He kind of goes down the racetrack with Chris Progrard, contact with him there, and yeah.
Did get damage to the left side, the left
Oh,
rear, and right rear. I was gonna say,
Bland that got him.
I was gonna say, if he didn't hurt that nose, he might be in good shape. But now that he has both rears a bit messed up, he might be in a little bit worse shape. But he still got a clean nose, so he's still got a chance at it.
On board with Ross Harlow. And this, of course, the car that gets turned around to start all of this. Wyatt Brackett comes up, and I think what these drivers will learn pretty quickly is you can give a bump, but you've got to lift. These bumpers have a crown for the first time in several years in NASCAR, and when you have that crown, it's like pushing the Xfinity Series. Those bumpers are just slightly curved. Man, I mean, these guys do come in really late, but with that curved bumper, that crown of the bumper, you've got to lift off the guy. That was Sturgeon, by the way, that got Harlow, that 26 car that came in. You've got to lift after your first bump, I think. You can't really maintain contact. So that locking bumpers that NASCAR has chased with the Xfinity Series and the Truck Series, I think that's fixed by just crowning the bumpers like this. Unfortunately, the result of it is crashes.
It is possible to that point to lock bumpers for at least a little bit, but your driver's side got to be on their driver's side. You can't have your front end on the middle of their car back end. Like, you've got to be as lined up as cleanly as possible. And there's so much movement in these cars. There's so much movement when it comes to getting bumps and giving bumps. It's just so hard to stay level with them. And right there, you saw how quickly it can get out of hand.
The field now pacing through 1 and 2. Several cars coming to the pit lane under this yellow. Now, your top 16 stay out. That's all the way down through Cody Kinsey in car 93. But Reedy, Muscarella, Kelly, Reeves, Fulham, Bland, Holdcroft, Brackett, Swavely, Curry, Progrard, Peel, Knighton, Michelle, Curtis, and Banks all pitted. Curtis is still on the pit lane, which is rather concerning for car number 1. Let's see if we can get a good angle here. I didn't think the damage would be this bad, but clearly he's still waiting on repairs there in car number 1, so he'll try and fire up and catch this field in a moment. Banks is doing exactly that in car 54. His car is very messed up. You can see the entire nose has fallen off. Kunkel is in the pit lane still. Warren Kyle Keith has towed and actually has left the racetrack already. Ross Harlow is 2 laps down after a tow, and Justin Winters is 3 laps down. Sturgeon, the only other car out of this race. Weather, as we talked about earlier on today, 127 degrees now on the racetrack. It is heating up along with the competition. And oh, look at this. Mario Miranda opting for the top side of the racetrack, Zach. These guys do have that option, as you can tell. Where would you go if you had the chance?
It would just depend on who's behind me and who I'm confident that can give me a bump. I mean, so many strategies that actually come out in the actual Cup race actually do come out in iRacing as well as the pace car pulls off. Me personally, the bottom line shoots off and gets formed up so much quicker than the outside. I would personally choose the bottom for this restart.
Still a field of 31, plus a few stragglers headed into the trial this time, it looks like. And Mario Miranda and Steven Stempian will get this race restarted. Green flag is back out. Barney the flagman gets us back underway.
Push from the top 2. I believe they're probably going to get down, or from the top 2 on the top lane, excuse me. Yep, they got down in front real quick. Bottom line filling out very quickly. Again, the top line dissipates pretty much going into turn 1.
Out of turn 2, mostly single file. I think we'll see calm restarts most of the day, especially with the new sequential gearboxes. Yeah, these guys just want to get in line and race.
And especially, usually it's the weirdest thing, but when it comes to iRacing, the first caution, it could either make or break a race. It can either calm a lot of people down because they're expecting it, or it can vamp a lot of people up because you're going to be expecting more. It seems like, well, they got their first big caution out of the way, the one caution that everyone's concerned about when it comes to Talladega. deep sigh of relief. If you weren't involved, now you could just kind of fill in, start racing, and just start logging laps until the end of stage 1.
So what this does up front is puts Miranda now in front of Wyatt, of all people. I don't mean that in a bad way, but now Shane Wyatt goes from the 3rd or 4th car in line on the bottom side to, well, 2nd in line, right behind our race leader, Miranda. Giving a lump here down the backstretch.
You see how the car's a little bit offset. Now you can be offset bumping, but you don't want to cross that line, or else we're going to have a caution like we did the last caution, where just the slightest miss bump can cause a lot of carnage.
I feel like between, I guess for all of the riding there on the back end of Miranda's car, the Toyota logo there, or I guess even that inset portion where the license plate would go if it was a real car, that width of the bumper is the safe zone that you can get on. Outside of that is where you risk turning the guy, especially once you get closer to the headlight. If the center of your bumper is closer to, the tail light. If the center of your bumper is closer to the tail light of the car that you're pushing, you're probably going to crash.
See the logo up there on the bumper right up top of Razor. You want that logo to match with the front logo on your car. You don't really want to mismatch the logos, especially for these two Toyota Camrys going 1-2 right now. You want to try to put those logos in line, or any logo really. You want to try to match them up. If those logos aren't in line, the push is probably either going to be rogue, or you're going to be walking a very, very fine line for it. As we got a Group 2 back here, double file, really, kind of racing each other.
Yeah, I'm surprised by this. We saw Group 1 is all single file, Group 2, they're racing. And there was an old theory that came about much more recently in plate racing here on the sim. It used to always be, if you wanted to go fast, you got single file, you lined up, and you just minded your P's and Q's. More lately, Zach, it seemed like the faster way is actually to split the draft, get side by side like this, and even the top side here, that top group, with Wyatt Brackett as caboose right now, that top group is going faster, it seems like. Ray Rogers goes up there, Brian Curry as well. And now Charles Phelps has a choice if he wants to stay low or go high. Curry goes low, so he might stay low, but it seems like that top side is actually faster.
Some of the philosophies for that, because I've been a part of it, is less cars means less checkups, right? If you have less cars in a line, that means you don't have to check up as much. You can carry momentum, but it also comes down to some of the philosophies that some of these guys have for this race. It may have been some of these guys wanted to lay back, get out of the front group, ride. Others maybe wanted to keep up with the front group, so those drivers joined up and they got going. Everyone kind of in line right now, not really pushing the issue so much as the first 3 cars in this pack, as they do kind of line out. But like you said, Andrew, for this, less cars means less checkup. Less checkup means the faster you go around Talladega.
Well, you're actually kind of a special analyst for us to have in the booth this evening, because you won the Nortona 500 earlier this year, back in February, that we broadcasted on PitStop TV, and it was our first real good glimpse at how these cars would race on super speedways. It seems like some of that's transferring. It seems like some things maybe changed from February now into April and getting real close to May. Some things are staying the same. iRace continues to tweak this car, though, so some things are changing. I think we're all learning this year. I think 2023 we're going to have this stuff down, but 2022 definitely still in development mode, dev mode.
Well, the one thing that we learned very quickly, like you said earlier that I was in the Nortona 500, the one thing that I learned very quickly was the outside line can actually get a huge run, and you can actually play with the lines.
We saw you guys line up on the top side at one point.
It was the weirdest thing, because like you said, usually in iRacing you just stay to the bottom, single file, and you go, usually for the Cup cars, but with this new car coming out, the high side carried so much momentum, especially when it came down to the people in it. If you had people aggressively pushing, people that you were confident pushing you or being pushed with, the line would go anywhere. But also another thing that was in the sim, but not as big as it is right now, side draft for these cars. Side draft is a huge thing for these cars. I don't know how much iRacing has tweaked it, but I know when it came to Daytona, side draft in these cars was something that it brought a whole new dynamic to the super speedway races.
And what about that tandem draft? Think we'll see some of that tonight?
It's very possible. You know, in some of the fixed races that I've seen and some of what I've heard, it's possible to get 2-3 cars out and just push each other and have them in front of the group for about a lap. but the group behind creates so much momentum, it creates so much inertia, as the commentators today like to pound into our heads, that it creates so much that those cars can't really stay in front. They make that bubble, or they punch a hole in that air just that much, and that draft just pulls them right back into the group.
So not expecting tandems then. We should at least see some double file racing here soon. We're coming up to 6 laps to go in stage number 1, and actually recent tendencies, if you go back to Richmond and Circuit of the Americas, and I don't recall from Bristol last week, I wasn't there, thanks to Emerson and Dustin Devin for covering that one, but recent tendency has actually been to throw the stage yellow 1 lap earlier than the completion, so at the beginning of the lap, so we might even see that stage break 1 lap sooner. This might be 5 to go on the stage next time by the start finish line. We're coming up now, and Miranda's still leading a group of what? Let's see, 14 cars in a single file line. Garrett Brown might try and change that. No, it's K-List and Stevens that go up high, and they take Wilson.
One thing that I was going to mention, that this could be a good, it's dangerous, but it could be a good little experiment for you. Maybe should you put yourself in a position towards the end of the race, you know where the runs are going to form, you know how to do it because, well, you had to do it for the ends of the stage. You know how many laps you have, who's working with you, who's not, who you can trust to push, and who you can trust to, to push. So it's right now for these guys up front, for these 14, 15 cars in this lead pack, this is a beautiful experiment phase right here where you can learn about your car, learn about the runs, and what you need in order to get good runs to get yourself up to the front and battle for the lead.
On board with Zach Wilson. As this top side starts to get going back here, but it's going to take a lot more than 2 or 3 cars trying it. It's going to take a committed effort. And we've seen that on iRacing. You can get the top side going, Zach, but you have to actually commit to it. You have to get guys who want to go forward and are going to properly work together in a nice, cohesive group. 2, 3 cars, not going to do it.
Just like in real racing, you're looking up in the mirror, you're saying, is that high line actually coming? Is it actually forming and building momentum to get to the front? Or is it just trying to come together? And we see right now, it's just trying to come together, so not a lot of guys want to jump up there and try to risk it. I mean, you don't see no momentum coming, what's the point? You're just going to lose a few positions. But if these 3 guys can get at least the slightest bit of momentum, at least the slightest bit of a run on these next few guys, and they can build something on the high side, we're going to start seeing people jump out there and start giving the high side a try.
Lap 22 now. We're either racing to completion of 24 or 25. We'll learn that pretty quick. Let's go on board with Travis Stevens as he tries to get that top side going, trailing Cody Kinsey, one of the new drivers of the series. You can see his rookie stripes in the back end of that white Chevrolet. This top side's starting to go somewhere.
See it slowly starting to build. They've worked their way up to about 5th or 4th right now on the low side. They might actually be going somewhere, but this is where it also starts to get sketchy, because now people in the low line are starting to see this, starting to form, starting to see the momentum. They might be thinking about going up there, maybe throwing a late block, or just trying to get in front of it. And this could really either help or hurt the high side.
Following these guys through the tri-oval. Oh, Mahar is starting to look. Car 19, he will go up there. He will get in front of that top side, in front of Zach Wilson. Wilson's Camry comes right up to him, gives him a shot, gets him going in the center of 1 and 2. There's a slow car up high. So now scooting over the first car on the bottom side of this 2x2 effort. They go on by Brandon Banks. Mahar was 4th in line in front of Kendall, who now takes that 4th spot on the bottom side.
That's the risk you have to take when it comes to jumping to the high side. You saw it right there. They were able to pick him up, but you couldn't really continue the momentum because you can't drive through the car right in front of you. You have to get them acquainted to it. The high line didn't really stall, but it's not really going anywhere right now. They've got to build up some momentum because they have to slow down for the 19 of Mahar.
The Auto Tempest Toyota Camry on the outside of the tri-oval trying to get this line going. Help from Zach Wilson. They head down to turn number 1. Shane Wyatt, 2nd place. Does he maybe start looking to the top side? I see Stempian thinking about it. Honestly, I think even Kendall was starting to think about it at that time. This might be the white flag. Now, again, NASCAR would throw the stage yellow at the end of lap 25. Recent tendency has been to throw it at the start of lap 25 here in the MPI Cup Series, so that bit of difference is going to change the way these guys race. This might be it for stage 1 and stage points along with it.
Now, if you're amongst the top 4 right now where you're not double wide, I don't think you're really thinking about trying to jump out and trying to make anything happen. You're still top 5 for stage points right now. Miranda leading this group. This is what he sees out his rearview mirror coming to what could possibly be the end of stage 1 coming through the tri-oval.
Very calm and orderly run to the end of the stage, potentially. I think that's going to do it. Sempian even came up high. Maybe not. Yes, that is yellow. There's the second group of cars. Pace car will leave the pit lane. We don't usually get to see the pace car actually take off the pit lane.
Yeah, it was a first. You usually don't get to see that kind of thing.
So at the time of yellow, your top 10 is listed for you there on the left side of the screen. Berendo, Wyatt, Stempian, Kendall, Mahar, your top 5. Schoonover, Easley, Wilson, Shoemaker, and Stevens. Now that might be slightly different than is official, but it's at least a good idea as to where things go. And we certainly know that Mario Miranda, backing up a win at Bristol Dirt last weekend, gets stage number 1. Gets the stage number 1 win this evening at Talladega Super Speedway. Along with it, you get a playoff point and 10 stage points. Now, those 10 stage points really are just 10 points, Zach. They go so far to making your season, especially with this new playoff format that NASCAR has been using for a couple of years.
Really, once you think about it, they are so very valuable. I had to kind of sit down with myself because I had to think about it for a little bit. I was like, what do the stage points really even do? And we saw it with Kyle Larson last year, with him winning all those races up to that he did into those points. There was a round right there where he didn't even have to win. He was just in on points because of how many stage points he was able to accumulate over that first 26 season run, even with those races up into that point. So stage points, they do go a long way. They travel with you all the way through the playoffs and potentially put you in a great situation for you to possibly win a championship. So Miranda right now in the best seat of them all, P1, stage point, and with 10 points to go along with him as well.
Let's get a big shout out to everybody out in the chat this evening. I see, of course, Whiplash Media out there, Sarah J, Matthew White, Steve Stempian, both of them. The Green Alien Man, love that name, rooting for Kinsey this evening, as is first-time Twitch viewer Eric Schaefer. Glad you guys are watching this evening, hopefully enjoying what you're seeing here from PitStop TV and our coverage of the MPI Cup Series. Pit stops should get going this time, and yes, it looks like it, as Miranda will lead us down to the pit lane. Car number 99. Now, something is leading me to believe that Miranda and Wyatt are working together. The way they choreographed that restart was nice, but can they exit in the right order?
Yeah, this is where a lot of strategies can get thrown out the window very quickly, and a new piece of paper might have to be written down after this. I mean, you worked with somebody that entire first run, now all of a sudden you're not there in the same position, they're not there in the same position. It changes up the whole dynamic. Now then again, we are going to stage 2 to lap 50 after this, but it does create a whole new dynamic. As you see, yes, Stempian getting out, and Schoonover as well getting out in front of our leader, Miranda, and Wyatt.
So Stempian will lead the charge off the pit lane. Let's go ahead and get our stage number 1 winner. And I maybe should have prepped this a little bit sooner, but car number 99, Miranda is on some kind of tear recently, and I asked the question at the start of the day, Zach, is he going to be able to continue this tear? Front Rover Motorsports, he's been so good lately. The brilliance is oozing from car number 99. It seems like he's continuing that brilliance as he goes wins stage number 1, and he's headed your way, Zach.
All right, well, Miranda has been on a tear as of late. He's also won the first stage. Miranda, we've been kind of documenting your tear as of late. You went out, you won, let me see, you won at Bristol Dirt. You also put on a clinic at Phoenix, and now you're winning stage 1 at Talladega. It seems you got a little bit of momentum for you here.
Yeah, I do, and I honestly really enjoy this track. So every time I go here, I always have pretty high hopes, and especially being our Burnt Rubber Motorsports, it's honestly one of our best tracks to go to. We really work well as a team here, and then that last stage that showed me and Shane just hooked up together really well.
So this might be a stupid question, but I do kind of want to touch on it. You qualified up front. You've obviously led every kind of lap. for everyone that comes to a super speedway, obviously the strategy is to try to get up front and to win. Some people like to stay at the back, let the wrecks happen so they can get through it to be alive at the end. Obviously your strategy right now is to be up front, but now that you're mired in between some of these cars, you no longer have the lead coming to this next green flag. Is your strategy to try to stay up there, just to try to get up front, or what's your strategy going along now?
Strategy is just stay up front as far as I can be, because if you're in front of the wreck, you're not in the wreck. So that's kind of like the mentality of opposite of what people would do if they stayed in the back. So that's what I like to do, and I feel comfortable up here. I feel comfortable pushing. I feel comfortable being pushed. So right now I'm content riding behind, Austin Shoemaker and Stympian in front of me. So. But if the opportunity does come across, I'll do my best to try to get back to the lead and see if I can get stage 2.
We see you going double file, and I'm just going to leave you off with this next question. I'm going to try to make it as quick as possible. We saw you working with Wyatt right there, coming towards the end, or the last restart to the end of stage 1. He's going to be behind you again. Is that somebody that you want to see in your mirror right now as far as stage 2 and the rest of the race goes?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when I first got iRacing in 2020, Shane was the first person I met, and that's 2 years of experience we have in between each other, and we got to a point where I'm better leading than he is, and he's better pushing than I am. So we're just kind of like a power duo, and there's no one else I'd rather see in my rearview mirror than him.
You did kind of prove that the chemistry between you guys is very powerful, especially on that restart, you two getting to the front of the pack, and now getting ready to go for stage 2. He's going to be right behind you again. Mario Miranda, we appreciate your time coming up here. Good luck the rest of the race.
Thank you, guys.
The Burnt Rubber Motorsports entry, car number 99, Super Mario. I like that name rail on his Toyota Camry. He'll restart from the 5th position this evening on the inside. Well, this evening. For this restart, anyway. He's coming to lap 29 to begin stage number 2. And, Zach, this one only going to be about 30 laps of green flag racing, maybe an extra lap or so. Nothing too crazy, though. Did I say 20 laps? About 20 laps of green flag racing to lap 50. It's going to be one of the shorter stages that I think we have as far as lap counts, but it's still going to take a little bit. There's a good bit of racing here that these guys have to survive and just get through if they want to keep this race alive for themselves. We'll see how they get things going, as it's an all-Bud front row. A couple of Buds up front. Steven Stympian inside. Bill Schoonover outside. Then on the inside of row 3, you have Shoemaker. The outside of row... inside of row 2 is Shoemaker. The outside of row 2 is Kendall, as Miranda will restart from the 5th position. Coming to the green flag one more time. Barney has that flag extended, waiting to wave it. Now to get this race restarted on lap 29 of 113. And green flag waves. Stympian gets us back going green.
Bud's out front right now, kind of leading the lines. Not a lot of people breaking to the bottom like I thought they would. We saw it last run where everyone just tried to get to the bottom. The top line dissipated before turn 1. Not this time, however. The two lines staying side by side with each other coming out of turn 2.
Down the Alabama gang super stretch. Side by side. Schoonover outside, Stympian inside, trying to get the top side rolling is Schoonover in the 9. Kendall behind him, then Stevens. Oh, Easley rather. Kip Easley in car 27. Then Mahar in car 19, that blue and black machine. Then you see Curtis Kelly. How about this comeback so far? He's into the top 10, Zach, in position number 9, working the top side outside of car 71 and behind car 19. Curtis Kelly looking good in that Del Jarrett throwback.
You've got a car in front of you poking that hole, you don't really have to do too much, but that is also a good thing for him. We documented earlier that he had some damage to his nose. Now the 19 jumping out from in front of him, he should be able to pull right up to the back of the 27. Curtis Kelly here, going to be 4th car on the outside.
Side by side at a turn number 2, and we've got racing up front for the first time this evening. One car dips out, that's Garrett Brown on the bottom side on the apron. Stympian falling behind a little bit out of the corner, and this is what we were talking about. The top side looking good tonight. Schoonover takes the lead, drops down low.
This is one thing that I'm kind of excited to see. Can you control the lines? Right now you saw him drop to the low line. The low line starting to get momentum to come up and push him. Will he be able... Oh, big push there. Got him a little wiggly. That might help the outside line. Gonna be a bit of a checkup from second on back. You see the outside now going side by side yet again. The 68 of Kendall gonna lead that lap right at the line.
Ryan Kendall, your Pied Piper up top, Schoonover, Pied Piper on the bottom. Shoemaker now third in line. Miranda fourth in line down low. And I mean, it's 10 or so rows deep, it looks like, in this front group. It's about 20 cars at least. We've got about 25, then a smaller group further back. Still 32 cars in this race. The only cars out of this one so far: Ross Harlow, Warren Kyle Keith, James Kunkel, Justin Winters, and Logan Sturgeon.
Oh, we just saw that move right there. We saw Kendall and Easley go down. It looked like Easley had the idea first to try to take the lead away from Kendall to get down to the bottom line, but Kendall saw it coming, blocked it all the way down. But that's one thing that the outside line can't really have, is a bunch of people abandoning it as soon as they get to a spot where they can. See, as you see it now, the high line just kind of sitting in limbo. They're not really going anywhere. They're not falling back, but right now they're not really going anywhere. A third line is happening, or maybe just a little bit of a dust up. The 32 way to the outside. Richard Swavely now coming out of turn 2. He's going to lose a lot of positions. Maybe this is what he wanted, but man, that was sketchy coming out of turn 2.
Swavely drops out of line. He now slides back into the line on the top side as Parker Bland will go by momentarily. One other car on the outside line. And that looks to be potentially the Toyota of Curry. Not entirely sure just yet. Either way, oh boy, Shoemaker got a little bit squirrely there. A help from Miranda rather. Stempian in line, and now Curtis Kelly leads that top side. Recall the incident that he had earlier on with Brian Curry. Now, of course, that stayed green, but an incident nonetheless. And here we go to the top side. Kelly taking Bryant way to the top, all the way up on that wall. And now that leaves the bottom or the middle open for Isaac Mock to take a look. Stevens drops back down as they're just trying to figure out what works right now.
See, this is one thing that, as you see Miranda there kind of jump out of line, 5th on the bottom. He's now the top leader, and now Shoemaker, I'm sorry, that's not Shoemaker, that is Shoemaker that jumped out in front of him. But this is what you want to see as someone either in front of the pack or at the back of the pack. You want to see these lines kind of start to form. You want to see what the high line does versus what the bottom does. This is notes that are invaluable when it comes to the end of this race. You want these notes. This is what you want. Miranda,
that tandem's working.
Shoemaker all the way to the front. You're not wrong, as they've made it all the way up to 3rd right now on the bottom line.
Ryan Kendall still leads, but that might not be that way for long. The top side got momentum as soon as Miranda went up there. Really got to pushing car 14, and now car 27 easily will jump up. Shoemaker will give him a push, and they'll go right on by Kendall like he was sitting still the entire time. Easily now your race leader headed to turn 3. Shoemaker drops. Miranda, I don't think does. He does not.
It's one of the moves you got to be tentative if you're going to jump to the outside. There is a 3rd lane out there. Right now it's just not really formed. As you see now, the bottom line's going to start taking numbers yet again. The top line's going to fizzle out. The bottom line's going to start taking off, but as we saw, the 27 of Easley, he jumped in front of the high line. He's able to take the lead, but come towards the end of the race, should you jump out too early or too late, you're going to be put right in the middle of the sucker hole. Right now, maybe a little bit too early for that, but that's something to keep in mind as we look forward to this racing for the lead. Miranda going back towards the front. His helping Wyatt is in this line, just not right behind him. He's got the 81 of Stempian right behind him.
This is a perfect camera for the outside line, getting going and dropping now down in front of Kip Beasley there, bringing Stempian. Now Easley gets out, the top 3 clear, and Shoemaker going to try and follow that process. Stevens now your leader on the top side. We're going to have this leapfrog, and maybe not leapfrog, but kind of musical chairs out front. We saw this, we talked about this in the North Dakota 500 back in February. Zach, you were a part of it. That top side gets going, they get momentum, they get 1 or 2 or even 3 cars clear of the bottom side, they drop down and restart the process, where it's just a revolving door. You keep circulating at the front of the field, almost ebbing and flowing, but now, maybe going to change that. Stevens goes nowhere out front. Ray Rogers not helping the effort at all. He is being very careful, not getting into the back end of the 2 car, and now he's going to go 3 wide and take the outside.
One thing that's so not aggravating, but just frustrating about a super speedway is you're going to be a part of that top line, but most of the time you're not going to be the car that gets to jump down low. That's not going to clear the bottom line. And when you're not, and there's cars that do, well, now that car in front of you or two cars in front of you just took on a whole brick wall of air that's going to slow down the top line. And I could see the frustration behind it of just trying to work the high line and no one wanting to stick with it. As you see now, the high line completely fizzled out. It's going to go to the tail end of this first group right here where really there's no momentum here. You see two cars jump out of line real quick, maybe a little bit of a checkup to try to start it out, but yet again, the bottom line's going to prevail.
Point leader, Austin Reedy gets the top side going now, brings Kendall with him. Brackett in line. They try to go on by Curtis Kelly. Brackett goes back to the inside. You need a really, how did I put it again? Concentrated effort. You've got to be committed. You've got to get to somebody's back end. You've got to get a tandem going to get the top side rolling. And we saw that even in the NASCAR race earlier today, the NASCAR Cup Series race, where you would get tandems get rolling on the top side, even the bottom. They would get clear of the field. One car would start to go when the second car lifted, and you get the momentum going up front that way and bring cars along with you. You can't sit car lengths back of somebody, or maybe not car lengths, but feet back of somebody anymore and just use the bubble of air to get somebody going. You now get air channeled onto your nose via the rear diffuser and the channels of air on this car. So you have to properly suck up to somebody and push them if you want to get going.
Well, one thing that I kind of want to talk about here is the second lane, yet again, from the 96 of Reedy starts to form on the outside here, about 5 cars deep on the bottom, and then just like that dissipates. You've got to be on top of these moves. One guy that I kind of want to look at here is Shoemaker, as he's the only one that's going to go to the outside now. Big checkup on the bottom. He started front row. He started on the front row for this restart. There's been no cautions in between, but that's how quickly these moves, how quickly these lines can shuffle you out. You can go from front row 10 laps later to barely hanging on to the front pack.
So Schoonover gets back in line. He's in the 11th position. Ray Rogers and Charles Phelps battling back here. So that line earlier that we saw with Rogers leading, then Wilson, yeah, they've fallen this far back of the field, over 3 seconds now to that lead pack of 11 cars that are on the bottom side. This contains drivers like Isaac Mock, Zach Wilson, Dakota Curtis, Joseph Mahar, Brad Fulham, even Sean Kalis back here, Travis Stevens, Alex Muscarella back here in car 48. So they've all fallen well back of our leaders, and they're not at all in the fight for stage points. Up front, you've got 11 cars in a line. The only car not earning stage points in this group is Schoonover, so he's got to get scooting up to the front.
The risk that you had, I just got it. I like that. I like that pun. But that's the risk you got to take that's the risk that's always there for the taking when it comes to Talladega. You can jump to the outside, you can see it coming, but as soon as it fizzles out, you got to be on top of it. And if you're not on top of it, you could be like that second pack where all of a sudden you've completely lost touch of the first pack. You're outside of stage points. And now you're either asking for a caution or just hoping to get to the end of the stage to just join back up with these guys.
Look at this, the gap in the top 5. Austin Reedy falling well back of Austin Shoemaker here. He's got no help right now from Ryan Kendall or Curtis Kelly. Brackett's a little dinged up and he's falling back. So I think this is again proving you have to be committed to going forward or you will go backwards. You have to actually push. You have to use momentum and get momentum going in your group or you will drop out of the draft. This is bizarre. This is actually almost the opposite of what we saw at Daytona for the North Daytona 500 and likely what we saw in Podium Esports for this Daytona 500 with the MPI Cup Series. This is not at all what I would have expected. Now Reedy takes that group high. He'll bring Kendall, Kelly, and Brackett up there, but in just a 10-11 car line, they're losing the draft. I've never seen this.
Even with our experience of Daytona under our belt, and maybe just the week of Talladega, we're still kind of feeling the effects from the Gen 6 car package, right? Where you get into a line, you don't really have to do much, you just kind of have to modulate the throttle and just stick with the guy in front of you, really, right? Where here, you can't really do that. You've got to be on that guy right in front of you. You've got to carry your own momentum even inside of a line. You got to be wary of a checkup, sure, but you've got to be on that person right in front of you. Even though this is the second pack, you see how well formed they are. They're not really allowing a lot to happen with the exclusion of the back 3 on the bottom. They're not really allowing a bunch of space in between them, even though they are maybe losing to the front pack. like you see the gap right here from 3rd, 4th, and 5th, maybe even 6th, that car length in between just is not going to cut it anymore.
I've got to say, what the top 4 is doing, including Shoemaker, Easley, Stempy, and of course our leader Miranda, they are just setting pace. They are absolutely rolling here at Talladega. Fantastic. I mean, you can see they're gapping Shane Wyatt in 5th and Austin Reedy in 6th. I wonder if Reedy's got damage. The way that car is not holding pace, it really is acting like he's got damage. I don't recall him being a part of our initial crash, either of our initial crashes, or was it just one? Anyways, I don't recall him being a part of it, but it's really acting like he's just not up to full salt.
Well, and one thing that we also gotta pay attention to, we see the first, like you were kind of talking about, the front 5 kind of running away, kind of making their own pace, and it is a bit weird kind of seeing 6th on back fall, but, you know, one of the biggest rules when it comes to iRacing, super speedways is don't push the pusher. So you see someone in front of you pushing somebody, the first instinct is to stay at least a half car length off of them, you know, you just kind of keep that momentum to not push the pusher. You see it right here in the front pack, easily kind of staying off of Stempion, while Stempion's doing all the work right here trying to push Miranda and keep that top 5 flowing. You don't want to push the push, and I think these guys right now are trying to gauge how hard they can push on the guy in front, especially when they are not pushing the guy that's breaking the air.
Well, and even Dale Jr., I think, had a great mention of it along with Clint Boyer in the Fox broadcast today. It's talking about how teams did not have a practice session in the real NASCAR Cup Series to get these cars dialed in and figure out what changed between Daytona and Talladega, what was needed to allow them to push. We're still learning this package, and I think not the guidelines, but I guess the out-of-bounds zone as far as pushing. We know the out-of-bounds of the racetrack, but the out-of-bounds as far as pushing, what you can and can't do, we're still learning a little bit exactly how hard you can be with these cars. And, of course, you don't want to ding up rear diffusers. You don't want to ding up the front splitter. You don't want to damage bumpers at all. You're still learning all of that. You're still learning exactly how sensitive these cars are to exactly what you're talking about, pushing the pusher, and how risky it can be. So there's still a lot of learning happening. I think school is still in session, and it will be all the way through the completion of this race. It's just a matter of capitalizing on your lessons here, and so far, these guys back here, they must be doing something wrong. I know we're talking about these guys being packed up and formed up, but they are definitely much slower than our leaders.
Right now, these guys are just kind of, I want to try to, you know, kind of label them with the strategy that they may be doing, or, you know, just trying to experiment with their cars, but I can't really label it, you know. Right now they're just trying to form up something to try to get going. Like I said, if these guys are hoping for stage points, if some of these guys are towards the back in points, maybe looking for this race to turn it around, you know, you do want a race win, do not get me wrong, but you also want stage points should you put yourself in a position coming down towards the end of the year. And right now with this kind of racing, it's not really looking like that.
Curry and Schoonover are the last cars in line in this front pack, and they are starting to fall off. Schoonover's in a really bad spot. He's really going to need some help. I think he's going to need Curry to fall back to him almost to get a little tandem going if he wants to get any stage points. And the problem is Curry doesn't want that to happen, because then Curry loses his one stage point, but at the same time, if Curry were to make that happen, he could try and race for more. So, you know, 6 to 1, half dozen together for these two guys in the back of the field, and well, really not even for Schoonover. He needs Curry to fall back, but it's certainly 6 to 1, half dozen together for Curry. Do you try and help him and try and advance? Because I don't think you can do it as that last car. I don't think even with the side draft that's going to happen. But do you risk that?
At the end of the day, you know, you may have friends, you may have teammates, but at the end of the day, that's competition. And, you know, if you feel like you can have... Yeah, that's a big run from the now second line. Now that about 4 cars on the outside, 5 cars on the outside, 5 cars on the inside. Right now, they're all kind of spread out. The inside gets a big run, but as we were kind of talking, it's if you're looking kind of out for yourself, kind of looking for your own points, you've got to stay kind of to yourself. If you want to help, that's fine, but you're also rolling the dice of falling out. As we see right there, he kind of looked out for himself, jumped to the outside. The 77 of Curry has now fallen outside of the top 10, outside of stage points, as we're getting ready to come to the end of stage 2.
You see, as soon as these guys got side by side, it opened up the gap for Schoonover to actually get a draft up to these guys. So I think it's certainly faster for the cars behind to be side by side like this and really break up the air. But is it beneficial as a pack? We don't know just yet. Miranda's still leading, Stempy in second. And we're expecting the stage yellow at the beginning of lap 50. So realistically, this will be white flag on the stage this next time by, easily leading the top side. Miranda trying to get a second stage win on the day. Stempian, of course, would like to change that. Does he go high this time? No, he's going to stay honest, it looks like, to car 99.
This is the white flag and moves at Talladega. Well, considering the momentum, and if they have momentum, shouldn't really be made until realistically down the backstretch. But the 81 of Stampion does look like he has been loyal to the back end of Miranda. As the high line here, they come with the big push from Shoemaker into Stampion into Miranda, but the high line looks like it's prevailing. The 27 of easily the 96 of Reedy. The first two on the high side.
Side by side at a turn 4, racing to the end of stage 2. 10 points at a stage point on the line for the winner of this one. Easily with the run out of the top side, and he's going to take the race lead. Reedy trying to follow suit. Miranda back to third place, and Kip easily takes the top spot. Well, maybe. Yes, top spot in stage number 2. Just barely over Reedy. And now you see Reedy had the momentum across the line. I wonder when the yellow was thrown if Reedy gets the race lead out of that, but definitely at the line, it was easily.
That's one thing that I kind of wanted to talk about too, was our stage winner should be easily right at the line. It looks like, well, right now they're kind of side by side. It looks like they might give it to Reedy.
I think the yellow will go the way of Reedy, but the lead at the line, and we can review this, goes to easily. Let's go ahead and take this replay and get a look at it. I'm pretty sure it was easily across the line, but we have...
It looked like easily at the line.
We have tools here. We can go ahead and check this one out. This is slow-mo to the line.
Technology.
Yes, technology is beautiful, isn't it? So, see, I think this might do it for us. This is really, really close. Reedy gets a great run to the line, and we can really slow this down. That is definitely easily.
Easily, yep.
So it looks. Let's look one more time. We can really back this up. This will definitely show us, Zach. You can see the momentum with Brackett and Kendall pushing the 96 car easily, pretty much on his own at that point. Miranda had fallen a little ways back. So as they come up to the start-finish line, we can go ahead and take this and really slow it down across the line. And that is definitely easily across the line. Then Reedy, then Kendall, Miranda, Brackett, Stempian. I got to think. Brian Kelly. Brian Curry, there we go, in car 77.
Right there at the line. It also was a run for the last stage point right there at the end. The 29 of Curtis Kelly barely edging out the 9 of Schoonover right there at the end. But we are under caution. We are getting ready to go down pit road. It looks like the 96 is going to retain the lead through that whole ordeal.
Yeah, Reedy gets the race lead. Kip easily there in second. Oh, I don't like that. Playing games on a plate track into pit lane. I mean, it's one of the more futile points in, I guess, sim racing, but hey, it works out.
I'm sorry for my stutter. If it keeps him the race lead coming out of pit road, then it works.
I suppose, but
I mean, you're not wrong. When it comes down to like green flag, it should that have been a green flag kind of run. It is one of the more rather minute points of super speedway, but as it looks like he is going to get himself a run off pit road, the 96. It looks like he's going to be the first one out.
Yeah, it works out. He keeps the race lead. Kip easily, our stage 2 winner, drops down to the 7th position, it looks like, out of the pit lane. We'll go ahead and dial up driver 27, at least if he's available. Some of these drivers, they opt not even to ride in Discord, but the Prestige Worldwide driver teammates to guys like Schoonover, Reeves, Brown, and Shoemaker, he is available for us to go ahead and grab. So driver 27 claiming a stage, even though it didn't quite credit it with you at the yellow. Easily you get those 10 points, winning stage 2. What was the call there?
It was a close one. I didn't know if I actually got it or not. I'll have to go back and look at the replay. It scored me as getting it, but I'm not for sure. After the caution came out, it told me to be behind the 96. I got to give a lot of that credit though to my teammate Austin, he was behind me there, said the run was coming. I jumped up to the high side, and then it was Austin Reedy really did the rest of it. He bumped me all the way to that, and so I got to thank both of them guys for obviously being able to get that.
So how important is it here to get that track position that Austin Reedy got by getting you at the yellow and then in pit lane, and now you being 7th? How important is that kind of shift from first now suddenly 7th for this restart?
I'm okay with that. I went ahead and took 4 tires. I hadn't taken any tires yet, but I wanted to go ahead and just get a fresh set, and that'll take me the rest of the way. And we'll just kind of see where it goes from there. But I'm comfortable in 7th here. I don't really want to be leading. I want to be about where I am, just able to make a move toward the end of the race here.
Track temps in excess of 125 at the start of the race, now 117. Has that been noticeable at all? Has it changed anything, or has it been business as usual for you guys?
No, I haven't really noticed anything on that. It's been pretty much business as usual. The checkups are pretty wild. It seems to be when you get in, going down the back straight or the front straight, that you get these massive runs. So there's a lot of dragging the brake, lifting. So you got to anticipate that. But outside of that, it's been pretty much normal Talladega.
And on the subject of dragging the brake, lifting, trying to manage momentum and inertia in these groups, how easy has it been? How difficult has it been to get a run going? It seems like the top side just isn't working up front unless you get a good tandem to lead it.
Yeah, it seems like that top line will really move if they get several guys together. But it just depends on how those guys hold that top line. It seems to be they lose a lot of momentum in those corners, and that's where the top line fades, and then everybody gives up and dives back to the bottom.
All right, buddy, restart in 7th here, a couple of laps led and a stage win. Congratulations on that. Best of luck here in stage number 3. Looks like 60 laps to go at the drop of the green. We'll see you later.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Skip Easley with Prestige Worldwide down there, and again, teammates to, well, I gotta try and find his team channel. There it is. Teammates, guys like Shoemaker, Schoonover, Reeves, and Brown, joining them at least in that Discord channel this evening and assumingly working with them. So the Austin he's talking about is Austin Shoemaker. Keep that in mind, not Austin Reedy that's out front of this race as we get ready for this restart. Zach, what do you make of this as we get ready for 60 laps to go?
Well, now this is the time where whatever you kind of learned from the stages and the next 30 laps, really whatever you learned, kind of start putting it into motion. We saw the high line right there at the end of stage 2 come in. Miranda was leading pretty much on the backstretch all the way through turns 3 and 4. Lost it coming to the checkered of the stage. So right now, look for the high line to start really working its way up.
Big thank you to tonight's presenting partner of the Detail Wizard 300, of course, Detail Wizard of Mountain Grove, Missouri. Of course, one of the sponsors, actually, I believe, on car number 1. I don't see it on car number 1 this evening of Dakota Curtis, but one of those partners that adorns his Toyota Camry on occasion, adorning this evening's race at the Talladega Superspeedway. A big thank you to them for allowing this to be possible. The pace car will dip down to the safety of pit lane in a few moments. Reedy already kind of leading off that restart. You see runners do it in track and field, and the same is true for drivers in racing and sim racing. As we get ready to get this race restarted. Again, 60 laps to go to the end of this one. 300 miles when it's all said and done. I would expect at least one overtime attempt, and Reedy gets us back going. Brackett, second in line on the top side. It's Kendall Miranda down low. Green flag is back out, 60 to go. Already seeing 2 packs form once again. 1 lap complete off of the restart. Reedy leads. Brackett second, and there's that second group. Well back of our leaders. This is the oddest thing, Zach. I've just not seen a group structure like this with the NASCAR Cup Series before. Really national level stock cars in the sim before, but this is really odd.
the one thing that kind of contributes to the two packs here on this one was Reedy got a very, very early launch. It looked like a lot of the drivers weren't expecting an early launch, especially at a track like Talladega. He was pretty much 2-3 car lengths out of the guy behind, or the car behind him coming to the line. So it paid off for Reedy. It paid off for the front group that was able to jump on it and come together. But for everyone, pretty much about 11th, 12th on back, maybe even 13th on back, the second group, if you will. A lot of people kind of caught off guard, but you're not wrong. A lot of questions still to be answered when it comes to this package, to this car.
Shoemaker, Stempian, and Easley getting a top side rolling. Reedy still down low, Brackett with him. Kendall third in the line down there, and Shoemaker starting to edge ahead. I think Stempian and Shoemaker can get lined up. I'm not so sure if Easley can go with him, but they're going to try by turn 3. Easley trying to use that top side, and they will all be clear. Yes, they all drop down in front of Austin Reedy, your points leader into tonight's Detail Wizard 300. Good move.
Yeah, it's a fantastic move, especially for 3 cars, too. Like we were talking about earlier, less cars means less checkups. If you can get one pushing and maybe one on the back bumper of the pusher, not exactly pushing as hard as he can, but just to kind of continue the momentum, you've got guys like that, the top 3 now, Shoemaker, Stempian, and Easley going to the front. As we see now, just a very discombobulated second group right now, maybe from half of it on back, but right now, they're not really getting single file. Well, as I say that, they get single file.
Schoonover, Curtis, and Muscarella are really trying right now to keep in touch with the guys in front. Parker Bland to the next car ahead, and the gap is actually stagnated about a second and a third. Schoonover, oh wow, Curtis was on him all the way to 3 there. Now you can see Schoonover gets launched out ahead. He makes a bit of time on Parker Bland, but you got to wait for Curtis to get it back to you if you're Bill here. Curtis now slowly comes back up. They netted about a 10th. I mean, I like it. They're starting to go places, but as Bill starts to sniff the draft of the 01 car, he might leave the one of Curtis. They've got to be careful.
And that's one of the big risks when it comes to trying to chase down a pack in front of you, or just trying to carry momentum in general, right? If you're the pusher, if you're that middle car, if you're the number 1 right now, just in the middle of this, you're trying to push to continue your line, yet you're not also trying to button hook the person in front of you. You've got to, that's one thing that you've really got to manage, is just exactly that. You're carrying the momentum. You're also not trying to create an accordion effect. You're not trying to turn the person in front of you. It is very stressful to be the pusher, but right now the second group making up a lot of time on these guys right in front. They've got something to push for, and buddy, they're pushing for it.
I know 10th doesn't feel like a lot of time, but it really is here. They're trying to keep touch with the cars in front and get this group back together. I think if they can get within about a second, you'll see Schoonover start to pull the cars behind. At least it's what we've traditionally been used to, right? It seems like things are a little bit different with the drafting model on these cars, but just, well, it goes back to 1.3 seconds, losing some time. And I mean, Curtis has got to be on the back end of Schoonover when they leave turn 2, I think, Zach, make full use of this push on the backstretch, and he can lock on if he keeps it even with him. It's the moving around that I'm scared of, and you can see they lost a few tenths that straight away.
Even that, you can get draft up to somebody and you can push that person, but it also comes down to the help you have behind you. If you don't have any help behind you, it's like putting your back against a brick wall and trying to launch off of it, right? Trying to put your feet off of it and launch. Kind of like how swimmers do when they're doing their acrobatics. They got to push off the wall. You also need someone behind you to help push you off, to keep that arrow moving, try to keep that momentum and line moving. If you ain't got none of that wall, if you ain't got no base, you ain't going to go anywhere. And right now, these guys, the front 2 of the second pack are locked up. The third car in line does also seem to be there, but as soon as Schoonover gets a really big launch, that whole line kind of dissipates, loses a couple tenths here or there.
Lap 60 now, 113 in the Detail Wizard 300. Shoemaker leading, then it's Stempian, Easley, Reedy, Brackett, Kendall, Miranda, Curry, Mock, and Wyatt, your top 10. And if we look at previous races, Zach, we've traditionally seen a low number of lead changes in this race, or at least in races like it. You go back the last 2 seasons here in the MPI Cup Series, they've had 2 Talladega races apiece. 2 races in season 3, they were both 95 laps, both had 4 cautions. The difference being there, of course, they were on the Gen 6 platform all the way through last season that ended earlier this year. In Season 3, Race 1, held on February 28, 2021 rather, had 40 lead changes. There were some updates before they came back in the fall, and they had 9 lead changes in the second race that season. If you go back to last season, however, you had 14 lead changes and 10. So there have not been many lead changes since that 40 lead change race, and as far as right now, we're looking at just 8. We're looking at maybe bettering those numbers, but still just about on par. It seems like these guys get single file, they race this race out, might have a spill along the way or two, but this is about what we should expect.
Well, one thing that I'm kind of looking forward to right now, the second group has pulled in the first group. The draft has kind of come in. There's really not even a group now. It's just one big clump of cars. Now it's going to be interesting to see who's going to jump out with who's going to start creating those lines. Right now, with them being single file like this, it is kind of a sketchy point to try to make a second line because you could easily fall out of it. Well, as we see right here, a second line's trying to be formed way at the back of it. But with how low the lead changes are right now, everyone's just kind of settled in. But I'm willing to bet as soon as we get to about lap 85, 90, maybe even 95, we're going to start seeing cars pull out. We're going to start seeing fifths, fourth, third, or even second start pulling out of the guy in front to start making moves.
On board with Phelps. And there's some racing back here. I mean, these guys are trying to get something going. Kalis at the back end of this line. Wilson down low. Had a bit of a bobble there. But you've got Kalis, it looks like Reeves, Brown, and Phelps up top. They're just not going anywhere. I mean, they're riding right now. They're riding double file. They're not racing too much. And I can't blame them being back here, Zach. But if you get a top line going up front, you've got to be on it. You've got to be about the business and be pushing, I think.
Well, and that's one thing that I'm kind of finding interesting. We talked to Easley during the Stage 2 break, our Stage 2 winner, and he said the runs that you get on the straightaways are incredible, that it comes to, the checkups are incredible, but when you're caught at some of the cars at the back of the pack now, kind of splitting into the second pack now, you kind of need to use those runs to try to get up there into the pack. You kind of need the track positions now, even with it still being about half the race to go. We've maybe just made halfway or 10 laps over it. Everyone pretty much from 15th on back, with how much moving there is or the lack thereof, you kind of need to start putting yourself in a decent track position or in a decent position enough to where if those moves are made, you can do it without much of a fallback.
How about our race leader? Well, let's just change things up a little bit. Strategy calls, they're going to be on the way here soon. Fuel will be needed in this race. But how about Austin Shoemaker? Leading this race, you come into the points this evening, and if we bring if I bring a list up on my other monitor, he comes in 12th. That's 104 points out of the lead. That's back to Mario Miranda. He comes in 3 points ahead of guys like Mahar and Swavely, only 10 points ahead of guys like Hendry and Reeves. Hendry not here this evening. It's looking like he's in the race to point his way in, but leading right now at Talladega. Of course, conditionally, he would be locked into the playoffs if he were to win this race, the way he's leading. But this is big in any regard. Leading laps, I think, showing that he's here to race, showing that he wants to put his run into the playoffs together. No matter how this goes, it's going to be a good day for him, I think. Leading across halfway, showing that the 14 car has got it, and just getting that momentum flowing for the season as a whole.
I will agree with you up to an extent when it comes to that. Yes, he is getting amazing time up front. He's building points for his season, but when it comes, it is Talladega, and you can go from leading to finishing 29th or worse very, very quickly. And those points would be invaluable, and they would be something that's needed. But should your finishes be what kind of keep you down in points, those points were kind of null and void. So right now, yes, he is picking up good points for the rest of the season, but at the same time right now, if he wants to start building momentum, a finish at Talladega, possibly even a win, but if he wants to start building momentum for a charge late into the season, a finish at Talladega, possibly top 10, top 5 would be a good run for Shoemaker.
Another driver worth talking about is somebody that I would give my personal award of the race to. You know how F1 has the driver of the day vote that goes on their website? I think the driver of the day, for me personally, is going to go to this guy, Brandon Banks, and there's a good reason for it. He is well off pace. These guys are in the 190s, 180s. He has won 157 miles an hour around here, sustained, in position 31, 6 laps down. But Zach, he's keeping himself in the race. Sure, he is well out of it. He's not going to win or even come close to it. Likely won't even get a top 20 or maybe even 25. But the positions that he can gain, because we're expecting at least a few more dropouts out of this race, those points are going to be invaluable to him. They're going to make the difference at some point down the road. It might not get him into the playoffs, but it's going to be some kind of decider for some kind of position for him. It's efforts like these from drivers that I always appreciate when they stay in the race like this and they don't want to give up.
Oh, I can absolutely agree with you. And, you know, talking about it now and maybe seeing the results at the end of the race,
You know what? He's 19th in points.
Well, with him being 19th in points, you know, but even that, you know, seeing maybe the results at the end of the race, should he go more than 10 laps down, or, you know, not running more than 155 miles per hour, but the effect that this has long term, the domino effect it has from this, the 1, 2, 3 positions he's gaining just by staying out on the track right now. Should we get a caution at the end of this race? Should it be within however many laps he's down, the positions he's going to gain from that? Those go a long way as the season progresses. And right now, it's so easy to give up when you have no front end, when you're running legitimately 40 miles per hour off the pace of the leaders. But it's so easy to give up, but when you see drivers like that just staying out there knowing that this helps them in the long run, that's what you love to see, and that's one thing that you've got to tip your hat in respect to.
Austin Reedy looks to the top side for a moment, and he will bring Brackett. Nope, dips back in behind car 27. And, you know, we saw this single file earlier today, you know, at Talladega in the NASCAR race, but I didn't think we would see it to this degree tonight. I thought we would have more side-by-side, but I think these guys are proving that absolutely the way to get through a race, the way to get to the end of the race for as many cars as possible is to ride around. Just complete laps, get to the end of the race first, and then race. What is going to be interesting, though, Zach, is how these guys play strategy. Currently, we've got 44 laps to go. Last time by the start-finish line. Next time it'll be 43. And the fuel run is about 37 laps, give or take. Might be able to get an extra lap out of it, maybe 1 lap shorter, depending on how you ran under the pit lane, for example. About 37 laps, though. When do you pit? Do you pit as soon as that pit window opens up and have your car nice and light at the end of the race, or do you try and play it safe, give yourself laps of fuel for green white checkers, or do you try and go all the way you can on this tank and have as much fuel in at the end as possible, just in case?
It's really a optional strategy, or a situational strategy, really. But in my honest opinion, I would like to try to come in and have something for the end of the race, right? We know it's Talladega, and you know intensity is going to pick up as soon as we start getting to 20 laps to go, 10 laps to go. The intensity is going to pick up, and we might start getting cautions right at the end of this race. And should you be pitting right on the number to get you to the end of the race where it has labeled at 113, you're going to be good. But should cautions come out, should they start flowing in, you're going to be in heavy saving mode, and you're obviously going to have to push it because you can't throttle at Talladega. So it's me personally, come in after the window's open, maybe let the first group come in, make sure you situate yourself to get you through the end, possibly even green-white checkers, and I think you're going to be in a good shape.
While we work closer to that number that we're looking for to get these guys into pit lane and open up that pit window, we are going to go side by side here on PitStop TV. Just take a quick break, allow us to take a drink of water, and come back to you here in a few moments after a quick message from our partners with the MPI Cup Series.
Hi guys, today me and Moose welcome to my extremely formal presentation of my two latest creations, the MPI Sync Chassis and the MPI Foldable Stand. When I created the MPI chassis, I wanted to have everything included. What it means. So in the MPI chassis, I wanted to have everything you need besides the electronics. So it has the keyboard tray, mouse tray, adjustability, TV stand, computer stand, super stiff pedal assembly, a seat that if you don't have a lot of space, you can fold it. If you have limited space, I solved your problem. The MPI wheel stand, you can use any component you want on it, and at night, fold in half, very limited space, and you can put it away. You can use your own chair, your own TV, problem solved.
Fuller,
Yeah,
needed F-150 for Smith build.
got it.
Yesterday.
I know.
Don't forget my BMW.
Gotcha. Check this out. All the major online automotive sites in one place. BMW, done. F-150, done.
How's he do it?
I can search nationwide. Even those classic Auto Tempest. All the cars, one search. That's how I do it.
What I'm really proud is that I own MPI, the steering wheel company, and I'm building the steering wheel. This is my creation.
This is yours.
Yes.
It's so sexy.
The steering wheel, it's a very unique thing. It's shaped on the hand of Scott Dixon.
His hand.
Yeah. This grip has 27% more grip feel than suede. Scott in the race is gonna make less effort when he drives. When you're in the car, it's like having 40-pound dumbbell like this, maybe more. In the car.
For how long?
3.5 hours. You know, average heart rate in the car, never below 150. Never below 150. You need to be a real athlete to drive.
Yeah.
They exercise every day. So this is my creation.
Amazing.
And we did.
Sound Art introduces an entirely new way to listen to music in your home by combining the best of two products, a revolutionary high-fidelity, low-profile Bluetooth wireless speaker with beautiful artwork. Select from a library of artwork or upload your own photos to personalize your experience. Sound Art ushers in an era of invisible, beautiful, and amazing sound throughout your home and redefines your entire entertainment system. The need to reclaim your floor space and rid your home of unsightly speaker boxes that need to be bolted to the wall is now a thing of the past. Our canvas is printed on high-quality permalite by Breathing Color. And select from our gallery or upload your own. Standard sizes include 16 by 20 and 18 by 24 canvas wrapped. Custom sizing is available, as well as surround sound options.
Welcome back to the virtual Talladega Super Speedway, now on to lap 77 of 113. Austin Shoemaker, still your race leader. If you're somehow just joining us for the first time this evening, our race summary, race info, it's been pretty calm. 3 cautions for 9 laps, 2 of those were our stage breaks. 8 lead changes this evening, including the one that got Austin Shoemaker the race lead over Austin Reedy. And that's about it. We've had 1 yellow for accident. That was on the backstretch with Ross Harlow getting turned by Wyatt Brackett, who is now running in the 5th position. And otherwise, Zach, it's been a nice, calm race. Zach Lindgren alongside of me this evening. Thanks for joining me, bud, as we've got the MPI Cup Series at Talladega Super Speedway. Always a good time.
I appreciate you the invite up here, buddy. It always is a good time. I enjoy doing these when I have the chance to do them. I may not jump on the opportunity, but I really do enjoy doing them. They are doing fun, especially when it comes to a super speedway race like this. But we were talking earlier, you know, we haven't exactly been expecting single file. We've been expecting double file, side-by-side action. Right now, just kind of mellow, but business is going to start picking up as we get closer and closer to our pit window and towards the end of the race.
Yeah, pit window opening up here shortly, and this is the gap between our 2 packs. 3.5 seconds, Zach Wilson to Garrett Brown currently, as Wilson leads Ray Rogers and several others further back in the field. Dustin Reeves is back here. Casey Knighton, Brad Fulham, Sean Kalist, and more. And no takers just yet in this run. Of course, this is stage number 3, so we're green to the end if there is no issue. We have no more stage breaks to rely on as the leaders lap Brandon Banks once more. And I see some conversation out in the YouTube chat talking about where you guys are watching from. It is good to get kind of a geo check, we'll call it. Where are you watching from? Let us know. We see T-Bland72, I'm assuming one of Parker Bland's family members, watching from Indiana, it looks like, as his or her son watches or races in New Hampshire. And again, that is Parker Bland we're talking about in car 01. Parker in the 13th position. Also see Steve Stempion watching his son from New Hampshire.
So Northerns in here
yeah,
watching.
New Hampshire, a popular place this season.
Apparently.
There's the onboard with Stempion running second. A couple of laps led to his number 81. A great throwback on his car, in fact, to Dale Jr.'s back-to-back Talladega wins back in the early 2000s. I think it was it 4 in a row?
I thought it was 6 in a row, but that one, the 4 sounds right, but yeah, 4 sounds right, 4 sounds right.
They work down the backstretch here.
So one thing that I'm noticing, Andrew, when it comes to the different pack splits is every time that we've seen 2 different packs is that every time that a pack splits, the second pack seems to contain the same drivers. We've seen Ray Rogers back there. We've seen the 6 Castrol, Brad Keselowski car back there. I'm sorry, Reeves back there. Everyone just kind of seems, this kind of seems to be their strategy. Wilson? Yeah, Zach Wilson up there.
Yeah, Zach Wilson, Ray Rogers, Dustin Reeves. You've got Casey Knighton back here, one of the new drivers of the series, Sean Kalist, Brad Fulham. If you can hold the rest of that thought, though, Zach, I've got to point something out that is almost time-sensitive, because Brandon Banks, do you recall when we talked about him a little while ago, as he's been lapped a few more times? Well, when we were talking about him and talking about the fact that he is still out here racing, even though he is 8 laps down now, 31st, getting closer to not being able to gain any more positions, he actually chimed into the Twitch chat. So first of all, he's watching the broadcast while racing. And secondly, chimed into the Twitch chat. So he's texting while driving, typing while driving anyways, and said, in all caps, "Yes, sir." And that is dedication to the craft. Maybe that's why he was swerving on the backstretch a little while ago, trying to have some fun. But that is dedication to the craft. Chiming in Twitch chat while you're racing out there. And I say racing loosely right now. He's not really racing a whole lot, just clicking off laps one by one, trying to put himself in a position, again, to take advantage of whatever he can. And this is where I go back to the standings. In fact, this is a great opportunity to really bring up the standings again. We haven't done so since the start of the race. This is how we come into this evening looking. So this does not have any of tonight's stage points in effect or where they're running. But Brandon Banks comes in, you can see, 134 back of the lead in 19th position, just 2 points back of Justin Winters. He should definitely go on past Justin Winters. Isaac Mock may go in front of him. Travis Stevens may open up that gap, but he might get close to Justin Hendry. Any points that he can put together here as he tries to make the bid for 16th position are going to help massively.
Like we were talking about earlier, and it also just, I'm just going to parallel what you were saying. This does help him is in the long run, as we got a few cars down to pit. The leader, Shoemaker, now, I'm sorry that we just saw him through these cameras. Shoemaker down the pit in the 27, but going back to the 54, this makes a whole world of difference. And you also got to bring a little bit of light to a dark situation, as almost getting wrecked out of Talladega. If you got a car that's able to run, you might as well run it. So he's bringing a little light to it, but this is going to help him so much further as the season progresses.
Shoemaker gets rolling, 12.43 seconds. He'll roll out behind Schoonover, and that is bright what he did right there, as opposed to Kyle Busch earlier today. I know we'll get some fans riled up with that one. Austin Shoemaker lets Schoonover take that spot. He knows it's better to just roll in behind car number 9 and get that run together. So very bright there from him. Let's see what our leaders are doing, actually. There's Brandon Banks. How about that? Popping into the shot as these guys get back onto the racetrack. Austin Reedy now leading the race as Shoemaker and Schoonover pitted. No takers this lap, it looks like. So that was the pit window just opening up. That was, 30 laps to go when they pitted.
And this is a great sign for those guys as well, that they were able to come in off the lead pack pit and get out before the lead pack. Now, it is possible that this lead pack is going to catch them, right? But the lead pack still got to come in and break down to go into pits. It looks like a lot of people...
Yellow.
Oh, yellow, yeah.
Parker Bland involved. Miss Bland, I'm sorry, but it looks like your sons might not be going very well anymore. Joseph Mahar also involved. The Auto Tempest 19. And it looks like just 2 cars were stopped in the backstretch, but this changes everything. So those cars that just pitted, they do stay on the lead lap, so that's going to put them in a pretty good spot moving forward, but interesting that this caution comes out. Now let's go back and find where this happens. So this is in the secondary group, actually. This is behind Curtis, maybe even tertiary group, depending on where they're at. Yeah, this is a tertiary group now. With Mahar, Mahar, Bland, Muscarella, Peel, and Curtis. Oh,
Yep.
wow.
A road bump in the middle of the corner. What wasn't exactly lined up. Not a lot of damage. Yeah, they both stay off to the apron.
Swavely had a face full of 19 there for a second.
Not a lot of damage to their front noses. Maybe some damage both to the rear ends of both of those cars. But just, again, a misplaced bump at a poor time or just not lined up at that time. And you saw how quickly it can unravel. Oh, and a little bit of checkup, too.
Yeah. Just not at all what you want to see here. Especially for 2 guys running in the back, just trying to put a race together and, get to the end, obviously. But unfortunately, they are the yellow that brings the field back together. Let's watch this one more time from Mahar's perspective. Shout out to Travis Anderson watching for Austin Reedy out of Tennessee. Part of the media, of course, watching their drivers, several of them in the field. Mock, Swavely, and plenty others as Mahar just gets turned around.
You saw him kind of check up there, and it kind of jumped to the outside so he wouldn't run over the guy in front of him, wouldn't cause any kind of harm to his front end, and it unfortunately cost him, a caution, all those positions that just went flying by him.
Everybody pitting under this yellow. As we're on board with Kendall there for a second. Pit exit about to be very, very busy. Everybody coming in. Aside from those cars that had just pitted, those being Schoonover, Shoemaker, Easley, and Brown. And that is the race off pit lane, won by Austin Reedy once again, then Wyatt Brackett, and everybody else follows suit.
And that's one thing that I wanted to bring up during this caution is that the 3, even though they didn't know that caution was going to come out, looked like geniuses. Shoemaker, the 27, and the 9, I'm sorry if the names escape me.
And Brown
right
in the
now,
16.
And Brown in the 16, exactly. Those guys look like geniuses right now. The perfectly timed caution's going to put them out in front. They've already taken their pits. They didn't need to come in. Going to give them track position and possibly put them in a position to win this race coming towards the end of it.
And look at how convenient that is as well. 4 Fords that came in together, go back out there, and they will control the front of this race once we go back green flag. Schoonover has been kind of in the conversation all night long, was the one driver in the front group that missed out on stage points at the end of stage 2, but just putting a nice race together, trying to keep things going. And, of course, started from second place. So to be leading now on what might be our final restart is a pretty good position. I wonder, we can go ahead and grab a driver for comment, potentially a race leader even. I think that'll be a good driver to go ahead and talk with. Schoonover here, going to have a chance to control this race. Teammates to Easley that we spoke with, and all the same strategy as Easley, who won stage number 1, or stage number 2 rather. Zach, here is Bill Schoonover in car number 9.
Talking about Bill Schoonover as he joins us up in the booth up here, I could speak. Bill, we've seen you kind of be up front. You started P2 and then kind of just kind of moderate your race today. Talk to us about it. Tell us how you've been running. Tell us about your strategy.
Been running fairly decent. That last restart, we lost a draft, and Dakota was giving me a really good push, and we finally caught that pack. Me and myself and Austin and Garrett or Kip, we decided to pit there to take fuel. We thought more would go with us, but it was just the 3 or 4 of us, and it worked out pretty good.
Yeah, we were kind of talking about it up here in the booth. Y'all look like geniuses as soon as that caution came out. Y'all the big brains of that whole strategy part right there. We see you getting ready to go double file again, but one thing that I did kind of want to talk about was you being up here. When you started, I believe it was stage 2 up front. Everything kind of got mixed up really quickly. You ended up, or coming to the end of stage 2, excuse me, everything got jumbled up really quickly. You were ended up being the one holding on to the back end of that line. Tell us about how quickly things can get going here at Talladega and how momentums can shift very quickly.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's on the restarts, I don't know what the deal is. If some of the guys are starting in first, I'm starting in second, but it just seems like the car didn't want to go. And usually the high side gets a really good run, but when I was up there, I couldn't get a good run on and lost some spots. So, I don't know, just have to hope for the best here and get our teammates lined up and go for a win or at least top 3.
I like that confidence. Well, Bill, we appreciate your time up here. Good luck for you the rest of the race, and hope to talk to you at the end of the race.
All right, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Going over under the Prestige Worldwide banner this evening, racing at least in cahoots with guys like Reeves, Shoemaker, Brown, and Easley. So we'll see what he can do on this restart from that first spot. And, of course, working with, well, the guys that are around him here. Shoemaker on his outside, Easley behind him, and Garrett Brown to the outside of Easley. So they'll be able to control the start of this race. So we'll have inside of 30 laps to go. Our most recent accident involving Parker Bland and, we got to think about it here, Joseph Mahar on the Auto Tempest 19. Those two cars still in the race. They are 27th and 28th now in the running order at the back of the field. They will come back and get the green flag and get back after it. The pace car, though, the iRacing.com safety car, will take to the safety of pit lane. That'll leave the field in the hands of Bill Schoonover in car number 9. Shoemaker on his outside, working with him. Barney the flagman holding that flag nice and tall above the field as we take the green flag. We're back racing in the Detail Wizard 300. A much more racy restart this time, Zach. 2x2, about 5 rows deep or so. Much more exciting here.
It's one thing that I kind of want to talk about is we saw Shoemaker actually jump in front of Schoonover. I'm sorry again if I butchered that name, but with this caution coming out, everyone at the back now has a chance to regroup with everyone, try to charge their way up to the front. Now, like you said, we are getting racy. Here comes the 81 coming to the outside of Shoemaker. Now takes the lead, clears him. The 68's going to follow. Here comes Miranda as well.
Stempian out front. Kendall gets clear. Miranda gets clear. Brian Curry now on the outside. Miranda stays in line. Is going to drop down with him maybe. Kendall goes down low. Stempian, Miranda. He's hesitant, though. He wants to go to the outside and take the momentum, and he will do exactly that. Bringing car 77. A block here from car 81 is Stempian. Miranda lines up, gives him a shot down the back stretch, and we're still in order.
This is when everything starts to pick up. Should this caution not have come out, it would have had to come down to strategy, and business would have picked up with a few laps to go. But now that everyone,
and Curtis has got a lot of damage back here. I think something just happened. He's way off pace.
We stay green on track.
He is way off pace. Something just happened to Dakota Curtis. He was in the middle of a pack with Muscarella and several others. I noticed Muscarella was off pace, and then suddenly car 1 was as well. So watch the orange number 1, Dakota Curtis. Oh, Curtis Kelly came up. Put him in the wall, Fulham with the miss there, and that's why Muscarella was down on the apron. So Dakota Curtis put in the wall, but no caution for it.
Just going for the same real estate. One walks away and the other one has to limp away. And that's the harshest thing to swallow when it comes to super speedway racing as well. The lead group now really broken up. There's not a lot of people.
It was that incident in 3 and 4 that broke this up.
And that could throw in a huge monkey wrench for the end of this race. And this pretty much all comes down to track position. If you're in front of that wreck, or if you're in front of that little bit of a mix-up, you obviously don't have to flow up for it like these guys didn't have to. They just could keep going. But now we've got a split-up group. We've got a split-up racetrack. A lot of people are going to have to be really charging to try to catch up to these guys. Now's the time especially for the second, maybe even the third group. Business has definitely picked up, and buddy, it's rolling.
on board with Isaac Mock down the backstretch. Into turn number 3. He gets ahead of those guys that were on the top side. They file back in line now. Reedy and Brackett further back. And then the next group starts off with Curtis Kelly, who put Curtis in the wall. Dakota Curtis, that is. Daniel Holdcroft back here. Garrett Brown. Bill Schoonover has dropped all the way back into this pack, Zach. So from having a leg up on the competition with that pit stop to, well, being several legs behind at this point, Schoonover back here in the second group.
It's just how quickly things can get turned around. All of a sudden, there was an outside line. There's all of a sudden 3 people in front of you, and the outside line was still coming. It's just how quickly, and you're so helpless.
Here.
Yeah, I mean, we've got 2, 3. We might have a 4th pack coming up. Yeah, there's the 4th pack. We might even have a pack of 3 or 4 as a 5th pack. No, it doesn't look like it. 4 packs split up right now, especially for those guys in the 3rd, 4th pack. Those guys are hustling, to say the least.
Zach Wilson, a part of that second group of cars. One at Richmond, so he's got the win to rely on, but wants to put points together and keep himself in the top 30, of course, to be eligible for the playoffs and to use that win. He's going to be Ray Rogers potentially around Curtis Kelly. Curtis Kelly had that incident early in the day with Brian Curry. Brian Curry, I think, was better for it earlier on. He was up in the top 10. Now Curry is down in the 29th spot on his own. And you know why? He was wave around.
Wait, really?
He had to pit under green. At least that's what it looks like. I mean, he's on a stint of now 4 laps along with Ryan Kendall. I wonder if maybe there was a spot. Well, Kendall came in for just 0.4 seconds. I wonder if they had to go through the pit lane, missing something. We might have missed more than we thought.
Yeah, especially with how split up the group was coming out of turn 4. There may have been some contact that we didn't see.
Let's try and go a little further back. A few laps back. Actually, oh, there is more. There's a lot more. Thank you, Zach, for bringing this up. So this is going to be the entire lap leading up to all of this. There were absolutely cars scrambled in the pit lane here in a second. And it seemed like Dakota Curtis was in a spot to kind of break this group up when this incident happened, but not as bad as we saw. So there's where Stemping goes in front of Miranda up front. Curtis is going to have this contact with Curtis Kelly on the bottom side. And Kelly comes up and just going to kind of door him. I don't think he realized that he was there. Puts him up in the fence. But then more happens. Watch these guys. Muscarella trying to hang on the apron. Does so. Where does this actually start? Schoonover being where he is, I think maybe he was part of it.
Nice. Well, right there, up front, right there.
Curry came down on Kendall. There you go.
He wasn't really committed to coming down towards the inside line, but was pretty much already there. The inside line couldn't really check up, and that's what gave us a split. Oh,
how that wasn't the yellow, I'll never know. Wow.
They kept it straight, buddy.
So that explains why Brian Curry is so far out of this race. Now, if we come back live and go back up to our race leaders, we have got 10 cars in this group. This goes back through Dustin Reeves in position number 10. Stempian leading, getting moved around, though, by Miranda, who's trying to tandem him out front. Is he trying to leave the 81 car, potentially?
Thing that I don't really want to say that other people are wishing right now, but the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 4th pack, they're all wishing for something to happen so they can at least catch up to this pack, possibly even a caution. I don't wish that upon any of these drivers. I don't really wish that upon this race in general. This has been an amazing race, an amazingly clean race. Despite having what we had just seen, but right now for everyone outside of this lead pack with laps winding down rather quickly, they need something to happen, and they need something to happen quickly for them.
Well, these 2 packs have now joined up, so you have 3 packs out there, the primary pack here, the secondary pack you just saw, and the tertiary pack further back. Miranda, though, it's getting kind of scary how hard he's pushing Stempien. Eventually that car is going to overheat. I'm sure there's air being fed via the diffuser. NASCAR went that direction with this Gen 7 package to try and limit dirty air and actually give some front downforce to cars trailing, but that's not going to help you as much here. If anything, well, you want the air for cooling, but you don't want the air because you want the draft to pull you along. So it's again, 6 to 1/2 dozen the other moment. And I'm concerned if Miranda keeps pushing like that he might overheat after some point.
Yeah, I mean, that is one of the many things the drivers has to keep an eye on when it comes to super speedway is just the temperature of their car. Not only do you have to pay attention to the car in front, the car outside, the car to the back of you, to what your spotter's telling you, you also have to pay attention to those big blinky numbers on your front dash inside the car. So these guys are dealing with a lot. Miranda right now, like you said, really pushing the limits of that car right on the back bumper of Stympian, really within a tenth constantly every single lap of Stympian. You really got to pay attention to what Miranda might be having to face as the race progresses here coming towards the end.
Lap car stays low. That's Brian Curry getting out of the way. And the lead pack goes by. You might be able to trail onto them as easily. Made it close there. Thankfully, no contact. So your top 10 is that group. This is your lead pack. That group on the top part of the ticker, top half of the ticker. Stympian, Miranda, Peel, who won at Coda, Wyatt, Reedy, Mock, Shoemaker, Brackett, Easley, and Reeves. And in this group of drivers who have won a race, you've got Mario Miranda, of course, with his win last week at Bristol and his win at Phoenix earlier in the season. Lawson Peel, who won at Coda, Circuit of the Americas, and round number 6, our first race here with the MPI Cup Series. And, well, Austin Reedy, who's got a couple of wins, including at Daytona International Speedway to open the season in these Gen 7 cars. Well, those are your only 3 wins in this top 10. 70% of this top 10 then hasn't won. They're hungry. They want to win. They want to punch their ticket to the playoffs, Zach. It's going to get aggressive here soon. We're getting, 14 laps to go this time by? It's going to get mixed up.
The place to do it, but as you see right now, the top 2, maybe even the top 4 really taken off from this pack. They're kind of creating their own pack as we ride on board with Dustin Reeves right now, who we kind of documented not really running in any other pack besides the last pack, now running in the front pack when it matters the most. But 70% of these guys that don't have a win, that means there's only 30% of guys that have to try to block the 70%, and if my math is correct, those numbers don't exactly match up.
No, if you had 7 versus 3, the line of 7 would probably win. Obviously, things have, befuddled us before, but math at least checks out that way. Well, 2 of them are in the top 3, in fairness. Lawson Peel has positioned himself nicely for the end of this race. If this tandem gets too far out there, gets split up, gets trying to race, I think Peel's actually in a fantastic spot to take advantage of it.
Especially like they are right now, kind of split up. You could see Peel gaining on him, but slowly. He's not really trying to force the issue right now. We still got coming to 13 laps to go. But dang, we're under 20 laps to go, Andrew. Where'd the time go?
Yeah, it clicked off nice and quickly here. We like those kinds of races, both because, well, it doesn't keep us up all night, and 2, because it quickly puts the urgency on these drivers. Keeps the onus on them all to get up there and battle for these positions. You can't sit back. When you have those kind of incidents that we've seen throughout the course of the evening that break up the field, that really proves as to why you have to keep up front. I saw a meme, actually, I think it was posted by NASCAR Chasm today, where, drivers think they can avoid the accident by sitting in the back, and so they sit back there, and then they might get separated, when in reality, the accident can come from any part of the pack. So you really should just go ahead and go race. If things happen, things will happen. Well, fit will still hit the shan, as the saying might go, or now from Toby Keith. But I really think if you're going to be at all concerned about getting in a crash, you should just go and try and lead laps. If you have these incidents, you see why you don't want to be any worse than first.
One thing that's kind of concerning me right now, especially with this lead pack, is the number, or the lack thereof, of cars up here in this front pack. If you want to try to mount a run, that's fine. If you want to try to go for the win, that's what we all want to do, but you don't have numbers. There's only 10 cars in this lead pack, so should you try to jump to the outside, there's going to be 9, just 9 other people that can help you. That doesn't mean they will, so that number decreases substantially. So as we see right now, the 3 of the back, Shoemaker, Reeves, and Brackett now jump to the high side, might start making ground, but right now numbers are not in their favor just because there's 7 cars on the bottom. There's only 3 of them up top, but as I say that, they did kind of work their way up to the 4th car on the bottom.
They're starting to get momentum rolling, and this is, I think, what you need. You need a powerful tandem exactly like this. Here we go. Austin Reedy getting that line moving. Maybe there's a reason why he went and won Daytona earlier in the season on Podium Esports. He can get this top side moving. He can get energy moving in this field, and now it's split. 50-50, 5-on-5, top versus bottom.
Well, throw my number theory out the window. Shoemaker pretty much drove himself with the help of Reeves right behind him to the front. Now this is where things get intense because you can't really back off now. We're getting ready to be inside 10 laps to go at Talladega. Should anyone back off of you, it's going to kill momentum, and well, you're going to slide back. So now this is where the pushes become more aggressive. This is where the... Oh, and he puts the move right on Stimpy and right in front. Goes to the low line now. Opens the high line up for Reeves, or excuse me, Reedy, to possibly even take the lead from up there. But now he's going to need help from the 10 car bracket.
2 laps to go. This race could be completed within 2 hours. And, well, let's knock on wood for that one. These guys are at a blistering pace up front. Reedy trying to control that top side. He just pushed Shoemaker up to the race lead, got him clear of the bottom side. He dropped down in front of Stempy and Miranda. That was a powerful move from car 14, but will it last? Can he play Pied Piper if he needs to? We talked about the implications of him leading, certainly the hopefulness that he's got to have this evening with how he's controlled this race in the latter half, how he's been strong. Can he control it if he needs to? I think the answer is not just yet. He's going to wait. This will be 9 laps to go this time by.
One thing that I kind of want to talk about was the move that we saw from Stimping right there, how he backed off, but we also saw the 10 of bracket wasn't exactly on Reedy on the high line as well, so that kind of stuff can happen, and it you know, just to kind of reposition yourself for the car in front, but you also need to make sure that the opposite line of you does not have any momentum, as now we see Reedy and Bracket and possibly even the 27 of Easley, possibly even the 6. Big run from the 27, big run from the 6 of Reeves, puts himself fourth. Here comes Miranda now to the high side. Will he have any help? It looks like he will.
Austin Reedy had the lead, but it didn't last. Bracket falls back, thought about going low. Seems like he's sticking with Austin Reedy for now. Easily up to point for a moment. Brought Reeves along with. I like that move from both of them to get down to the bottom side, but now look at the top. It's 7 versus 3, advantage top side.
Sudden the numbers have just flip-flopped. Now Reedy back to point again. He looks like he's going to stay to the outside. Will Bracket stay with him? Will Miranda stay with him? Will Stimpian stay with him? These guys were working together on the bottom, now on the high side. Numbers valuing the high side 6 versus 4. And right now the high side driving away. 4 cars, 5 cars clear of the bottom.
Quiet Bracket. Giving a push, and there goes Miranda down to the inside. Mario going to take it over for the corner, brings Stempian, and he will take the race lead in turns 3 and 4. He's already got 2 wins of the season, leading the series by 36 points with a stage win tonight. Make that 46. We'll figure out the numbers later, but Mario Miranda controlling this race, now controlling this season, I think, certainly. In the MPI Cup Series, this Detail Wizard 300, could it be his?
That's just the power that Miranda has over the entire field. The whole field knows that Miranda has power right now. He has momentum. And when Miranda actually saw the momentum shift from the high line to the low line and he came down, look at what everybody else did. They followed Miranda because they know he's got a strong car. They know he's got a strong strategy, so why not stick with the strongest person? Right now, the top 3, Miranda, Stimpy, and Wyatt, kind of driving away from this pack, nose to tail, not really giving each other any kind of breathing room, forcing the rest of the pack to come up as they are right now. Mock, Reedy, easily kind of making their way back up to him.
Briefly, let's talk about the second pack in line. Curtis Kelly, Zach Wilson, Daniel Holdcroft, and Garrett Brown, many more in this line. They're sitting back here single file. They're not really making any inroads in the lead to the guys ahead. They're just in this single file line, not really doing a whole lot. And the third group, the tertiary group, Daniel Michel, Charles Feltz, Parker Bland, they're just sitting back here hoping they get a yellow. Back up front, 6 laps to go that time by. Your top 4 clear of the outside. That's Miranda, that's Stempian, that is Wyatt and Mock. Your first side-by-side is Reedy and Easley.
So we obviously just saw how the second lane was able to build momentum, drive themselves up, and just completely flip-flop everything for a couple laps. We are now getting ready to be under 5 laps to go. Another run right here as we ride on board with, I believe this is Easley, I believe, or no, Reedy, excuse me, Reedy right now up top with help from Bracket and Shoemaker. Not a lot of help on the outside, but that's just how quickly this can flip-flop. But now another thing to throw into the fact is we got 2 lap cars that are going to be at the back of this pack. I don't know if they're going to throw in any kind of wild card situation, but 2 more cars have joined in on this pack.
Here's one of them. On board with them now, Sean Kalis in car 43. A different 43 almost won the race today. Unfortunately, he's a lap down out of it for now. A yellow can still change this. We'll have 4 to go this time by. Side by side now are Mock and Reedy. Disorganization further back. You can see Peel back there. Shoemaker moving around, trying to find air, trying to get something rolling. That eye draft that drivers have talked about for a couple of years where you stagger yourself to get a little bit of air in your nose and you actually get the run moving. He's trying it, but it's not working.
Well, we kind of saw right there, this help for Miranda Stimpian was way off of him. That allowed the high line to get going because everybody else was checking up because of that. They've made it to the 3rd car in the pack. Side draft happening. Reedy trying to hold on to the 71 car of Wyatt to use the side draft, but that's allowing the front 2 to get away. That's also going to allow a big run coming through the back stretch, turn 3 and 4, and even the tri-oval front stretch as they come real quick.
Side by side for 3rd. Reedy getting help from Brackett. They've done it before. They've gone to the front. Brackett has also turned a car in this race. Go back to the first yellow where he turned Roz Harlow. 3 laps to go this time. Miranda Stempian out front, and here we go. Reedy getting that run. Brackett pushing, then Shoemaker and Peel in line up to 2nd. Miranda goes up high, playing Pied Piper. Reedy has a run, and he goes down to the bottom side. A block there from Miranda. 3 wide. Brackett goes high.
And this is going to split up the group entirely, but it's going to benefit Miranda just because Stimpian was able to get his draft quicker. It's going to create 3 lines. The middle and high line will not work. Right now, Miranda, Stimpian, Wyatt in the catbird seat as things try to calm themselves down. Still 3 wide towards the back of this pack, but there's not going to be a line to challenge at the moment. Here comes Shoemaker trying to prove me wrong up to the 3rd car wide on the bottom. Shoemaker in tow with Peel. Possibly even the 27 of Easley now have created the 2 lines. They got themselves situated real quick, worked their way back up.
Here we go. Lawson Peel shoving the heck out of car 14. Gets Shoemaker moving. A block there from Miranda. He's defending like his life depends on it. He's got 2 wins of the season. Here comes Peel. Another win on the season for the 53 car. 2 laps to go in the Detail Wizard 300. Oh, and a crash! Massive, massive crash in 1. And this, proverbially, changes everything. Shane Wyatt involved in that.
Took out a lot of great
Austin
cars
Reedy
right there.
still trying to get back going. His car is destroyed. Absolutely junked is our points leader.
One of the comments that I was going to make is the bumps are going to become a lot less lifty. They're going to be more full throttle. I'm about to drive through you, and a lot of space is starting to going to be taken up a lot more now, and, well, the space was met in the middle.
Austin Shoemaker junked in the pit lane. Wow. How quickly things change.
That's what happens at Talladega. Let's go to the replay.
Seems like Shoemaker may have been at the start of it. This should actually be a beautiful view as to what really starts this accident. Lawson Peel pushing the heck out of car 14. They had a great run going. And coming to the popsicle sticks, I mean, they were in perfect position, I think, to try and win this race. Miranda with a big block. That puts Shoemaker out top 3 wide. And he tries to get back in line on the bottom. Briefly, I think, thinks he's clear. No, maybe gets turned by Brackett. Now he goes down on his own volition, and he just meets in the middle with Easley. And, oh, my goodness. What a hit for those guys.
One thing that I'm wondering is maybe Shoemaker, or maybe, Brackett, maybe have put a 4 wide on him, and Shoemaker was trying to give room for Brackett and just came down into the car beneath him. I believe that might have been Wyatt. I'm not for sure. From that angle, it didn't look all the best, but it looked like the 10 of Brackett may have had a run, possibly even forced a 4 wide. Shoemaker maybe trying to give room, and see, because there's the bump.
That makes it 4, but Shoemaker was trying to come down anyways. I don't think he was going down for wide. I think he tried to get in that middle line. Maybe thought the push from Brackett got him clear of Easley. And that all happens in a moment, and depending on, and Zach, if you're in the session, you'll be able to answer my question here, depending on his spotter situation, he may have been told clear down to the middle. The iRacing spotter may have also not really helped him out here in this situation. He may have also just kind of zoned out of it. I mean, it's very easy to do when you're into the situation. Blood is pumping. This comes down a little too far. I mean, a matter of inches.
You're looking at your rearview mirror. You're looking out your side. You're also trying to gauge the momentum that you have versus what other people have, and this is happening at the moment of a snap. You can't really, gather all that information. There's gonna be accidents that happen. There's gonna be mistakes that happen because of it, and we just witnessed one of them right there. He was trying to gauge the run of the 10. He was trying to understand where his run may be now that he's gonna have to fall back, where he can get in line, and it's just everything kind of rolled up into one.
This is the view from Reedy.
Just nothing Reedy could do there. Just watch and wait.
We do have Austin Shoemaker available to go ahead and talk to, and I'm sure this will be an interesting conversation. And Austin, I know you probably don't want to hear our voice right now, but what happened there from your point of view?
It's all good. I'd say I was trying to make a move to get up there to have a chance for a win. Went 3 wide there and got around him to make it 2 wide. I got up there around 2nd or 3rd, and then come back to the line there. I got a little bump from Wyatt Brackett, and it knocked me a little loose, and I came down a little bit. I thought there was just one person to my inside, and they're 2 wide below me, so I came down a little bit, so that one was probably on me. I got bumped by Wyatt Brackett, but that's just part of Talladega with 2 to go, so all in all, it's probably on me there. So I'd like to apologize to whoever got caught up in that one.
And I don't want to rub salt in the wound, but we talked earlier about what this could have done for your season. You come into tonight 12th in the points, and you might take a hit now, but you got a lot of laps left. You put yourself in a position to try and win, well, the wild card race at Talladega. How do you try and go to Dover next week and chase that win that would lock you into the playoffs?
Yeah, coming into Super Speedway, I was feeling confident about it. It seems like a lot of times I put myself in a position to win it there at the end, but unfortunately didn't get a solid finish there tonight. Still got some stage points, so not too bad, but looking forward to Dover. Not a big short track kind of guy, but Dover's typically one of my better short tracks, so hopefully we can rebound next week. We'll see.
All right, Austin, really appreciate your time, especially after that crash. Best of luck to you next week at Dover Motor Speedway. We'll be looking out for car 14.
No problem. Thank you, guys.
And I really got to say, that is huge of Austin Shoemaker to even take that interview. He didn't have to. He could have immediately left the channel. He's sitting there, probably not in his car right now, probably looking at Discord or whatever. He did not have to talk to us. Really appreciate that. As dejected as he could be, and I'm sure is, especially you heard it in his voice, to take that interview and talk to us, that's really cool of him.
Yeah, I mean, especially after being in a position all race where you were leading laps and you had a chance to win, from going from that to now sitting on pit road watching these guys finish the race. It's such a dejected feeling. So a huge shout out to him for, just calming himself, should he have had to, taking the interview and just sitting down and talking with us is just a huge thing, under a level tone too. That's just a huge thing.
And accepting fault. I mean, he knows that it was a mistake of inches. Didn't think they were 2 wide to the inside of him. They were 4 wide as a whole. So accepting that, yeah, he just came down a little too far, got into easily, and really sparked that accident that ends a few drivers' races, and especially his. And it's going to impact his season from here on out. But great move there, I guess. Just Shoemaker willing to talk to us. I really appreciate that. Zach, as we get ready to come back to the restart here to complete the Detail Wizard 300, the MPI Cup Series brought to you by MPI, Max Timeless Innovations, Auto Tempest, and SimMax. Call your shot here. Who wins this race? You got Stempy and Miranda, your front row, then Easley and Peel, then Reeves and Mock. They're still in this race. Even Curtis Kelly, Zach Wilson, Garrett Brown, Daniel Holdcroft, your top 10.
Miranda's been those last few blocks. Miranda threw perfectly timed blocks. He was able to keep his car on all 4 wheels really as the pace car gets ready to go off. I'm not really going to give it to Miranda just yet. He's got a lot more cars to deal with now than he did these last few laps, so I'm not going to give it to him just yet. I think Stimpian has a good shot as we get ready to go green, but right now those 2 on the front row, that's who I'm looking for.
Out front, cars 81 and 99 going to come to the flag stand and get the green flag. And we will have overtime in the Detail Wizard 300. Green flag is back out, green, white, checkered at Talladega. Single file bottom, easily left out to dry. Reeves gets lined up. Wilson in the top 5.
Now this is when the runs are
Oh,
going
Wilson turns Mock!
quickly. No!
Big crash. And we will take another shot at overtime. A-list involved. I see him spinning. I see
Easley's down there on the bottom, trying to get rolling.
Reedy's turned around. Shoemaker had to drive back through that. And at the center of it all were Lawson Peel and Isaac Mock. Let's go back to the restart.
You've got to commit to a line. We saw right there Zach Wilson was on the bottom and looked like he wanted to go to a top, but he chose too late. Kind of hooked the 7 car into the 53. You've got to choose your line. You've got to choose it quickly. You can't really stutter step like that, because if you do, that kind of result happens.
Stutter step, I like that. Watch car 51. Looks high. Mock goes with him. And at the end, Zach is trying to join him. Problem is, he waited about a half second too long. And you know what? We saw Ross Chastain make some late moves today. Mike Joy definitely called it out. And I think that's just what it comes down to, is that he made the move a little bit too late. He hesitated just ever so slightly too wrong. Let's watch this from his onboard again. We saw it live. But let's watch this from his onboard again here. He waits a half second too long to get in behind Mock. If he goes with him, they might win the race, but unfortunately just waits a little too long.
Just that 1/2 second too late, that's what cost him. If he would have jumped up as when he first wanted to, and a bunch of carnage behind him, easily the 96 is still involved in it as well. The 43 also in it.
Is that Schoonover with damage?
Yeah.
I didn't even think he was in it at first, but apparently he gets knocked around a little bit. Let's go back and watch this from his point of view.
I think there was some also contact after Zach Wilson, after everything gets stopped there. I think there was some more contact.
Here's Schoonover, his point of view, and how quickly it all unfolds. Yeah, he goes low. He hears about it. He goes low, and there's easily across his nose. That'll do it. Trying to miss it on the bottom side.
One of the biggest frustrating points about a super speedway. You think you've missed it. You've gone you're pretty much on the inside wall at Talladega, and you're still collected in it. It's just something to bite your tongue and just keep going with.
How about from Easley's point of view? He got left on this restart, and I'm sure is not too happy about how this unfolded. There goes Curtis Kelly. It was the first car on the top side when Mock and Wilson try to go up there. Gill gets hooked around. Tries to miss it, does easily, and he gets turned when he goes down low, gets hit again into the wall. Man. Big hits. One more view. This will be from not from Lawson Peel, from Stempian.
And that's another thing when it comes to iRacing too, is when it comes to cautions, everyone's trying to race to the yellow flag to pick up that 1 or 2 positions. Right here, you obviously see the reg, everyone's still full throttle trying to race to the caution, and sometimes it collects other drivers.
I just said one more view, but we're going to watch one more now. Watch Dustin Reeves. Now, Kyle Busch had some great record avoidance today. But Dustin Reeves, I think, going after his award. Let's see what car 6 does to get through here. Now, I noticed Curtis Kelly had a great job of missing it as well. It happened right in front of him. It just kind of fell into his lap to get on by, but Reeves goes high, then, just barely goes low, and sees it all unfold behind him. Garrett Brown gets through it. Even Bahar got through.
Man, it's so scary too, seeing just smoke, the car in front of you check up. Next thing you know, you've got 3 drivers. You could see their door numbers right in front of you. It's happens so quickly at Talladega.
Well, Zach, we've talked a bit about car number 6. Gets through that crash. They're going after Kyle Busch's wreck avoidance. What is that? Gold medal now from NASCAR 08 potentially. This is Dustin Reeves, car 6, position 5, coming to you.
We were talking about Dustin Reeves. We were even talking about him earlier in the broadcast, Dustin. We were kind of talking about your wreck avoidance there on the backstretch. Tell us what you saw from your perspective, and the code brown that may have been coming through the backstretch.
Yeah, it was a close one. Both those cautions were the last 2 cautions. I've been able to just, stay in the throttle and push through it. It feels like Days of Thunder around here. Usually I'm a little more passive and dipping to the bottom, but you know, we're hunting for wins tonight. Got to steal one from these fast guys.
I understand that. Talladega is the perfect place to do it. We were also kind of talking about you at the beginning of the race where you were at the back of like the second or third pack. Was that part of strategy? Just things never formulated for you?
Yeah, my strategy is always to lay back and, you know, let a couple of the crashes, you know, play itself out. And then, you know, just kind of a gut thing when the time's right, you know, get up here and, you know, 40 to go is kind of my clock to get going and see what we can put ourselves see if we can put ourselves in position to win this thing.
Well, obviously it's paid off for you, sir. We hope the best for you. Wish you luck for the rest of the race. Hopefully we're talking to you at the end of it.
Yeah, sounds good. We'll talk soon.
Reeves down there working with guys like Shoemaker and Schoonover. Good
Also,
company
one
down
thing,
there.
yeah, that is fantastic company, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but that's one thing that I want to talk about before we get going green here is the different kind of strategies we've seen. We've seen Miranda, who's obviously in the lead right now, control this race, not want to go to the back at all, just want to be up front, lead laps. He's obviously up front, but now we also talk about Reeves, who's sitting P6 or 5 right now, excuse me, that had the complete opposite strategy, just wanted to lay back, avoid wrecks. He's done that. Here they are in the same position to win the race. Just there's so many different things that could happen, so many different strategies that you could pull at Talladega to get you up to the front to put yourself in a winning position.
Hashtag strategy.
Hashtag strategy. I was thinking it when I was talking.
Yeah, we'll let that one marinate for just 1 second. We'll come and get the restart here on lap 120 of a 113 lap race. We go to the completion of 121. The Detail Wizard 300 getting extended just a little bit. We'll have to figure out the mileage later on once this one's complete. Of course, this is the second of 3 green-white checkered attempts. It's not unlimited like NASCAR. These guys have got to finish here sometime soon. Let's see what they can do. Miranda Stempy in your front row once again. Green flag flies. We're back at it to finish up the Detail Wizard 300. Already big moves. Stempian falling way back, already off of the restart. Getting jumbled up, and 2 cars out front, Miranda and Kelly.
Miranda and Kelly did get a big jump there, but this is going to bring Stygian, and who is that right behind the Stempian, excuse me, not Stygian. And here it goes, big run on these two. They're going to be looking to the outside, side by side. Miranda going to block, going to leave the 29 out to dry. The 81 gets to his outside, no help for Miranda. Stempian now, with help from Brown, is going to be able to get momentum. Here comes Reeves. Reeves going to jump to the bottom, going to have to slow up the momentum. The 29 of Curtis Kelly now, right behind the 16 and the 81 of Stempian.
Stempian race leader. Brown got him in this spot. Curtis Kelly in 3rd, Mahar 4th. Miranda's down to 6th position as we get the white flag presented by Whiplash Simcams. White flag as they crash behind. This race will go official. We're going to finish this one out. 2.5 miles to go.
Looks like the top 4 now have the best chance. Miranda not really getting any help. No one really back there from 4th on back, or excuse me, 5th back and not getting any help. Stempian now in the catbird seat. Brown might get help from Curtis Kelly. Curtis Kelly getting bumped from Mahar. Where has he been all race after his wreck? Going to the inside now, looking for it to the inside.
Blocks there in 3 and 4. Here we go. Miranda with a big run on the top side. He gets help from, I don't even know if that's Kinsey pushing him. Here we go. A block up top. Miranda's going to go down low. We're going to run to the start-finish line. Miranda on the bottom. Stempian up high. It's going to be a drag race. Stempian's going to win it. Dega in the number 81. And they crash behind. What a fantastic finish. And the throwback to Dale Jr.'s success in Earnhardt Country pays off for Stempian, going to victory lane for the first time in 2022.
What a race. What a race. Using the side draft right there through the trioval. I thought Miranda was clear. I thought Miranda had it done, but Stempian stays in it. Uses the side draft, pulls him back. Steven Stempian will win tonight at Talladega.
The Detail Wizard 300 goes down to the car that goes down to some of the best details on that paint scheme. That throwback is fantastic. The American flag there on the C-post, the Dracar Noir, I don't know how to pronounce that, on the quarter panel there. The Outlaw decal right in front of the rear wheel. Love the effort he put into that throwback. and certainly fitting the Detail Wizard 300 to go to a car really paying homage to some great details in that number 8 car that won so many races here at Talladega. Big, big win for Steven Stempien. And this is going to be special for him to burn down, yeah.
Yeah, let's see if he can burn it down like Junior. Oh. Yeah!
So car 81 goes back to victory lane at Talladega. It was car 88 in the second race here in this last season. Car 81 now. And your 2 super speedway winners this season now, car 96 Austin Reedy, car 81 Steven Stempien. Pretty good company if you're winning on plate tracks. And again, this is one of those pivotal moments in somebody's season. I mean, he was already he was second place in the points, doing great for himself, but this is just so much bigger to actually go out there and get this win.
And it just brings you that much closer to the lead, even, but even some of the guys further at the back of the pack that right there that we didn't really talk about coming towards the end. Maybe you mentioned someone right there at the end who we hadn't talked about all day. You didn't even know who they were coming through the front
Kinsley.
stretch. So it just, the amount of
or Kinsey,
excuse me. Yeah,
Cody Kinsey, car 93, brand new to the series, joined the Discord this week. Goes out there, goes 9th place this evening. Was huge in the impact of that finish. Brought Miranda up to the front after being 6th, 7th out of turn 2 on the white flag lap. Really, really good finish. Let's go ahead and go down and get driver 81, though. Gotta find him in the whole mess of what is Discord right now for the server. Where is Steven Stempien? Down there with Drinking Bros Racing. Well, he's gonna be drinking out of after this one, I'm sure. Steven Stempien, winner at Talladega. How's that one sound?
Sounds good, man.
So you bust out the Dale Jr. throwback, and you're certainly putting it to good use this evening. What happened there coming to the checkers?
Well, I just had a good teammate, Brandon Banks, giving me the spot up there, telling me where the run was. I saw Mario on the high side. Me and him were working well all race together. I knew I had to try to block it. I really wanted to be on the high line, coming to the stop-finish line, and I was just able to pull that side draft and, get that photo finish, coming to the green, coming to the checkered.
When you're headed out of turn 4 and you see the big runs coming behind you, the bottom side may be falling off, the middle's coming after you, and then Mario Miranda coming back to you at light speed off the top side, how do you try and choose where you need to go, what you need to do, how you need to play Pied Piper like the man did it himself so many years ago? How do you try and choose, how do you position yourself to try and win these races?
I just knew, I knew from this package, you really want to be on the high line. The high line was dominant because, if it came down to it, the side draft is so powerful, and that's exactly what I did. It played into my hands. Brought this Dale Jr. scheme. I hope it obviously brought me some luck, but paid a tribute to him tonight with racing.
Well, certainly, I think this is going to start off something, maybe looking for car 81 at these the Talladega races further on, but let's actually talk about the paint scheme. What brings you to this particular paint scheme this evening? I know you ran the Gray Ghost car at Richmond. I think you ran potentially another throwback before that this season, but I know you ran the Gray Ghost car at Richmond. Loved that. Why this car? Why this Budweiser car this evening at Dega?
Just for some good luck, man. It's the 20th anniversary of his back-to-back-to-back back in 2002, at Dega. He had back-to-back wins that year, and just was like, what, I love Dale Jr. He's my favorite driver. So figure it was going to give me some luck. I was looking for a win this season, came close a few times, and finally got it.
Now, how do you go into Dover Motor Speedway next week, fresh off a win here in the Detail Wizard 300? How do you carry this momentum on to Dover next week?
Looking forward to Dover, actually. Dover's one of my favorite tracks. I love racing at Dover. Got a couple of wins in the sim there, so looking forward to it, seeing what this package and this next gen holds for us. But I think it's going to be a good race.
There you have it. Steven Stempien, winner of the Detail Wizard 300 here at the Talladega Super Speedway. Congratulations, Steven. This is big for your season. Puts you right in this playoff race. Can't wait to see how it unfolds next week at Dover.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Thanks to you guys for the broadcast. Thanks to my teammates out there at Drinking Bros Racing, and my beautiful fiance out there, sleeping probably, and my 9-month-old son, and then my dad out there for all the support. Always never misses a race.
Oh, he was definitely out there in the YouTube chat cheering you on, buddy. Congratulations once again. This is big for you. Can't wait to see what it does for your season.
I appreciate it, guys. You have a good week.
Hey, you as well. That is Steven Stepien winning at the Talladega Super Speedway this evening, Zach. Let's go ahead and go through our race results as they stand unofficially this evening, and then we'll take our post-race break. This is your top 10.
Well documented. Steven Stepien will take first place. Mario Miranda with a great run right there at the end will take second place. Comes up just short. Garrett Brown, Charles Phelps third and fourth. Ray Rogers will finish fifth. We kind of talked about him running second pack all night. Will still come away with the top 5. Curtis Kelly had a big run right there at the end. Wasn't able to capitalize. Will finish 6th. Brad Fulham 7th. Joseph Mahar 8th. We were talking about him coming into turn 3 of the final lap. Cody Kinsley, Daniel Mikkel will be 9th and 10th respectively, to each their own.
Finishing 11th, you'll have Shane Wyatt in car 71. Was so close to such a great finish this evening. Unfortunately, falls a bit out of the order. And, 11 isn't bad at Talladega, but you certainly want to at least come in that top 10 as opposed to being a little ways down the order. But hey, things happen on these restarts. Casey Knighton comes in the 12th position. Then it's Parker Bland in 13th. A nice recovery for him after being involved in that incident with Mahar, and even Mahar back into the top 10 in the 8th spot rather. Austin Reedy goes 14th after his crash in the backstretch with several other cars. Dakota Curtis rallies back to 15th. Dustin Reeves falls down to 16th. Heartbreaker there for car 6. Isaac Mock drops down to 17th. Ryan Kendall 18th. Alex Moscarella hangs on for 19th, and Bill Schoonover at least takes a top 20.
Continue on. Travis Stevens will be finishing 21st. Lawson Peel will be finishing 22nd. Daniel Holdcraft 23rd. Sean Kellis 24th. Austin Shoemaker 25th. He still tries to rally back for the top 25. Zach Wilson will get 26th. Kip Easley 27th. Brian Curry 28th. Ryan Brackett 29th. And rounding out our top 30 will be Richard Swavely in the 32.
Finishing 31st this evening, you'll find Brandon Banks, and unfortunately he blew up a little while ago, was not able to hang on to the end. Just needed to go a little further to catch those cautions and keep him in this race. Chris Progar goes 32nd, Ross Harlow 33rd, James Kunkel 34th, Warren Kyle Keith there in 35th, Justin Winters 36th, and Logan Sturgeon 37th. Those guys taken out in that initial wreck. Kunkel, Keith, Winters, and Sturgeon, those guys taken out on the backstretch with Ross Harlow and others. So not a great race for some, a great race for others. Certainly going to change the order of these standings when we show back up here in, at Dover in a week's time.
Yeah, I mean, that's what Talladega does. That's what we were harping on the entire race. Just the effect that this race alone has on points, or just future points, just it's huge, and it can really either kill a season, turn a season around, or just keep momentum.
We'll be right back in just a few moments after a quick post-race break and a message from our partners here with the MPI Cup Series from Max Pappas Innovations and Auto Tempest. Do not go anywhere. Driver interviews on the way after this.
Sound Art introduces an entirely new way to listen to music.
What I'm really proud is that I own MPI, the steering wheel company, and I'm building the steering wheel. This is my creation.
This is yours.
Yes.
It's so sexy.
The steering wheel, it's a very unique thing. It's shaped on the hand of Scott Dixon.
His hand.
Yeah. This grip has a 27% more grip feel than suede. Scott in the race is gonna make less effort when he drives. When you're in the car, he's like having 40-pound dumbbell like this, maybe more in the car.
For how long?
3.5 hours. You know, average heart rate in the car, never below 150. Never below 150. You need to be a real athlete to drive. Yeah. They exercise every day. So this is my creation.
Amazing.
And we did.
Polar. Yeah. Needed F-150 for Smith build.
Got it.
Yesterday.
I know.
Don't forget my BMW.
Gotcha. Check this out. All the major online automotive sites in one place. BMW, done. F-150, done.
How's he do it?
I can search nationwide, even those classified sites. Auto Tempest, all the cars, one search. That's how I do it.
Hi everyone, I'm Max Papis, founder of MPI. Let me introduce you to a line that we developed in MPI that is really dear to me. The MPI SimMax. Obviously, SimMax, the guy here. The reason of birth of SimMax is the fact that nowadays I believe that sim racing and virtual racing is exactly the platform to start. I consider sim racing and virtual racing very similar to the experience I had in go-kart when I started in my racing. And let me introduce you to our line of authentic steering wheel created specifically for the sim community.
Welcome back to the virtual Talladega Super Speedway site this season of the Detail Wizard 300. It is Steven Stempien going to victory lane, but only just hundredths, tenths ahead of guys like Mario Miranda and Garrett Brown, the latter of which we have this evening for comment from third place. Zach, here is Garrett Brown, driver of the car 16.
Well, in typical Talladega fashion, it was a very hectic finish. Garrett Brown was able to finish P3. Garrett, walk us through that entire last lap, buddy. You were pretty much in it the entire time. Had a chance to win that entire last lap. Walk us through it. What did you see?
Man, it was intense last lap. It was exciting. I feel like I tried to manage 3 and 4. I was trying to back up if I could or get any kind of run that I could on Steven Stempien. But he and I were kind of linked up, and then Curtis Kelly stuck his nose inside of me. And from there, I kind of got sucker holed, fell back probably to 6th or 7th. And then from then on out, once we got to the tri-oval, it was melee and just tried to avoid the wreck, and saw it kind of forming down low and just darted up high and snuck out a 3rd place finish. So can't complain with the finish. Would have loved to have a run at Steven for the win, but he deserved it. He ran up front all night. He was a good pusher, and he ran a good race.
We kind of documented you kind of being up front, then being at the back, now then being up front right there at the end. You pushed Stempien up into the lead, chasing down Curtis and Miranda right there at the end, and you had a good setup for him right there at the end. I mean, it just one of those hectic races. Is there anything different that you think at any point during those couple last laps that would have helped you prevail? Maybe anything on the top of your mind?
Actually, yeah. I feel like leading up to the last lap was pretty dang near flawless. Steven and I linked up, got a great run, got us around Mario and, like you said, Curtis Kelly, which was kind of tough to do. They were both fast all night. I think where if I could have a do-over, I would probably change in turn 3. I left the bottom open and followed Steven Stempien a little bit. And once I got in behind Steven, I really didn't get any more help behind me. So I think looking back, if I could have maybe shut the door and gone low and picked up Curtis Kelly and then tried to see if we could get a run. But by the time I noticed it, I had kind of committed to Steven Stempien, more running the middle lane. And before I knew it, Curtis Kelly was next to me. And then I was caught in the middle with no help behind me and just held on and gained a few extra spots through that wreck at the end.
But you made a hell of a charge right there at the end. I mean, it's still coming home with the P3, and I'm not even going to lie, you have one of the sexiest cars out there. Just that black and white, the kind of silver tan, just, it's a very sexy car you got going out there. But congrats on the P3 tonight. Very well deserved. You, like I said, you ran up front, may have got caught up in a few things right at the back, and then you put yourself in a fantastic position to take home a P3. Congratulations on that. And how's Dover looking for you next week?
I think it sets up pretty well. I've had some success at Dover. definitely don't want to jump the gun, but appreciate the compliments on the paint scheme. Dakota Curtis helped me out with that. He's a great painter, but he always keeps me looking pretty good. So, but going back to Dover, I think it's going to be interesting in these cars because Dover's a lot about long run management. If you jump out the gates too early, you'll bring that right front up, and sometimes I can be fortunate and have a good long run car. Sometimes that's where I'll catch some people. So I'm hoping I can nail a long run setup, keep that right front on my car, and have a good run at them at Dover. It's a hectic track. There will be some real fast guys, but hopefully get something dialed in. My teammates had a good run tonight. A few of them got collected in wrecks, but Kip Easley, Dustin Reeves, Austin Shoemaker, Bill Schoonover, we were all up front all night and missed our other buddy, Chris Shoemaker, but I know we'll put in some work and try to get ready for Dover and hopefully have a good team run there.
Okay, buddy. Well, I appreciate your time coming up here after the race. Congrats on the P3, is well deserved, right, especially right there at the end of a hectic Talladega race. Look forward to seeing you next week, and we appreciate your time.
Hey, appreciate you guys. It was a fun run, and hopefully put on another show for you next week.
Absolutely.
Garrett Brown finishes this evening in the third position with really one heck of a run to the end there in the MPI number 16. We'll go on down the line now and get Curtis Kelly finishing this evening in the 6th position, but it was an up and down road. Some would call it a roller coaster. The Interstate Battery is 29, certainly paying homage to Dale Jarrett. How was your run out there this evening, Curtis?
Tonight was a roller coaster. That's one of the weirdest stagger races I've ran in a while, I'd say.
Up and down all around, and you had that early incident with, oh gosh, I gotta think of who that was. You had a couple, didn't you? There were a couple of just small
I had an early checkup, I'd say. I forget who
I got
in the back of.
Brian Curry, and then with Dakota Curtis later. How do you try and rebound from those in the middle of a green flag run?
I'm going to admit, the first checkup, getting that front end damage that early in the race, I was having a little bit of a Kyle Busch moment there, getting really hot on the car, not happy with how it was going. Just buckled down at that point, logged the laps. We had some nice long runs there to really just get the laps out of the ticker, and just come the end there, we just got lucky really with that last yellow flag. We wouldn't have been there. Otherwise, you were seeing it. Our pack could not get there. They were walking away from us.
Let's get right to it then. That last restart, what happened? Everybody was going 2-3 wide after a single file restart, it seemed like, and you just kind of happened to be in the right place to at least run for the top 5, but you came home one spot short of it.
Yeah, that final restart, getting the great start with Mario there. We really got, I think it was, 3-car length lead at least out of that. Didn't want to jump out, be the lead car into 3 there coming into the final lap. I kind of wanted to make sure I was behind some people, but that final turn 3 is coming into it. I thought I could go low. I kind of backed out on Garrett Brown when he tried to send it low on me and hit the apron there, because I think I would have been fighting for a podium there if I hadn't touched the apron on that final lap, but it is what it is. I was happy to walk away with a clean car.
Well, Curtis, thanks for your time, especially a little ways after the finish of the race there. Congratulations on what was nearly a top 5. 6th is still pretty good, and is going to pay dividends the rest of the season. Those points are going to fit in nicely. Congratulations on the top 10 at the very least. A good run, and we'll see you next week at Dover.
Thanks. See you guys around.
Curtis Kelly, car 29, puts together at least a decent finish there, Zach. I don't think 6th is anything to scoff at, especially with how crazy the end of the race was. But it could have been a little better. Could have been 2nd place, like car 99.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about him all race long, always up front, just came up one position short. Mario, we were talking about, I'm not even going to lie to you, coming through 3 and 4. I kind of wrote you off. I thought it was just going to be those top 4. I thought it was going to be either Stimpy and Curtis Kelly, the 16, or Joseph Mailer, but buddy, you got yourself a run right there at the end. Talk us through it.
Yeah, I mean, after turn 1 and 2, I was like, I'm finished. I was coming to get the Y, and they were pretty far ahead, and the guys behind me were 3x3, and I was like, I'm done. These guys are going to be side drafting each other, and Cody Kinsey ended up getting the run. I think he's in the 33 or 93, and I went up to block him, and he definitely didn't want me to do that, but I was like, he has the run, and he's my only chance to get back up there, and I go up in front of him. He's pushing me like it's last ever race, and I was coming into turn 3. He's still pushing me. I'm entering the corner. He's still pushing me, and I was like, man, I have a chance, and I went up as high as I could, and saw Stympian went up, and my spotter said clear low, and I just went underneath, but I just didn't have the help at the end after I made that move, so it was just a drag race, and I guess Chevy power is more a Chevy motor's more powerful, but I'm honestly really, really happy with second, and I'm really, really proud of Stympian getting getting the win. I owe him a lot. He's pushed me to at least 3 stage wins this year, so I'm glad he finally got that one.
Yeah, we're kind of looking through the replay right now. Then we were also watching on the back of Stympian coming to the checkered. We saw you run, and then we saw you get clear. Right here, I thought for sure, like I said, I wrote you off, and then as soon as you put yourself back up there, I thought you had it. The side draft played a huge moment right there at the end. Is there anything else you could have done? Try to prevent the side draft, or were you just as far as you can go with it?
I was as low as I could. Maybe, honestly, I needed Cody to follow me. I needed that help behind, and in the replay here, Cody's right behind Stympian, and that's helping him. And then the side draft definitely helps a lot. Maybe if I had Cody behind me, we would have been more equal. But there's nothing really I could have done. Maybe I could have gone to the grass, since technically I wasn't advancing my position by that point. But yeah, I'm really happy with second, and I'm not going home with my head down. It was a really good points there.
Yeah, especially at a track like Talladega, being way out of it on the backstretch and still coming home P2, that's nothing to scoff about, especially the race that you had tonight, where you won stage 1, you finished very well in stage 2, and you still put yourself in a position to win after being counted out. We were asking some of the drivers, how's Dover looking for you next week? Any success at Dover? You looking forward to it?
Yeah, I got a race win to defend when we go to Dover next week, so I'm looking to do the same. And Dover's a really, really fun track of mine. I've always enjoyed it, but these next gen cars, I don't know. I remember doing a tryout race like a year ago in the next gens at Dover, but it's been a year now, and iRacing's had a couple of updates, so I don't know what to expect. But I've usually always been fast at Dover no matter what I'm in, so I'm really, really, really looking forward to it.
Well, we appreciate your time coming up here for a second time. Congrats on the second place finish. We look forward to seeing what you have to offer at Dover. Hopefully you can go out and deliver or defend your win from last year. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Miranda there, 53 laps led. He comes up 1 spot shy, less than a 10th shy of a race win. Let's go back, Zach, and let's take a look at this run to the end, this finish, right? We just saw it unfold a little while ago. We saw a little bit more of it unfold there. Let's go back and see how this all gets going. Mario Miranda gets his great start with Curtis Kelly, but it all kind of goes awry from there.
Those two took off, and they really did take off the restart, but now the whole group behind them has this huge run. Like I was talking about earlier, Curtis Kelly doesn't really have anyone helping him. He just has the draft off of Miranda, and if they ain't got anyone helping the pusher, then the two trios going to go back. Huge run from Stympian right here, and the 16 was able to get a massive run. Miranda tries to block, still can't block that massive of a run. These 4 get away.
Yeah, at this point, it looks like these 4 have the race, but then here comes Dustin Reeves. Massive help from Mahar. Reeves gives a shot there to Kelly, gets him onto the outside. Now he falls in behind Miranda, and Miranda is just, at this point, hung out to dry. He's led all these laps. He's got 2 wins of the season already. Nobody's trying to help Car 99 until here comes Ray Rogers giving him some help, and there's that contact we saw. We'll cover that in a second. But watch Miranda's run back up to the lead. At this point, we definitely think these guys are out, right?
Yeah, at this point, because look how discombobulated they are. There's not really a car pushing a car, and I didn't see this run happening right here. But like Miranda said, he had to come up and block it. He had to come up. He saw the momentum. Yeah, he saw the momentum from the 93, and he had to take it.
He gets in front of the 93, and that white unsponsored Chevrolet pushes him forward, gets him to the outside of Mahar. then the outside of Kelly, then the outside of Brown, and he just keeps going forward and out of turn 4. This is the run to the finish. You can see Stepien blocks there, but opens the door down low. Perfect move from Miranda to go down to the bottom side, but then it's that little bit of energy to the start-finish line that gets Stepien back ahead. And, well, that's how Stepien wins at Talladega in the Detail Wizard 300. Let's go back again. Let's find that spot where we had that crash. I saw Holdcroft was part of it. And Holdcroft actually played a big role in this finish as well. Car 31 is, well, here he is with Leaf Felt on the side of his car. You can see he's coming up to Reeves. Is going to give Reeves some energy. And then here comes Kinsey to the outside. Oh, and maybe Stevens gets to him. Yeah, Stevens gets into him and collects Muscarella on the bottom side.
A little bit of contact, it looks like, that sent him up into the 31, causing that final wreck, or not the final wreck, but the wreck coming to the white flag.
The wreck at the checkers, I think, is going to involve guys like Mahar potentially. Yeah, maybe it was Kinsey actually. So Kinsey gets this run. He gets that push from Michel. Drops down in front of Rogers. And then just locks onto the back end of car 99. Gets Miranda moving. I mean, this is a fantastic run to the finish. Oh, and that save. I didn't even notice that bobble at first. Those are some quick hands there from Mario Miranda. Super Mario, as I mentioned on the name reel. That's fitting.
Especially for a big car like that. Usually you get a car like that out of shape, it's gone.
This is the run to the finish. Contact with Michel and Kinsey. Yeah. Oh, and they were going to go 3rd and 4th, and instead they go 9th and 10th. Har involved, and these guys after the line, at that point, they don't really care.
Yeah. Top 10s are still good, but it's a bit of a stinger when you go from 3rd and 4th to 9th and 10th.
Let's watch this from the flag stand here. You'll see it all unfold in front of you. You see Barney waving that checkered flag with no abandon. Well, anyways, you get the point. Across the line, that's how it all unfolds. And, wow. That quickly.
That quickly.
What that does do, Zach, is that closes the night at least. That's all action covered there at the end. This was a fantastic day of racing. Fantastic stuff through and through. We couldn't have asked for anything better, I don't think, from this field. Fantastic race.
I mean, we were talking about it earlier, how they were kind of breaking up our expectation of the double file, but I mean, right there at the end, just the amount of moves that were made, the sheer runs of the moves. It was an amazing race. That was a lot of fun to commentate.
It really was a lot of fun to cover tonight. 6 cautions for 18 laps, 3 laps apiece, thereabouts, 15 lead changes. That does check in over our numbers from the previous few races, actually. That is the most lead changes since the first Talladega race of Season 3, which saw 40. And it beats out the first Talladega race here, well, last season in Season 4, which had 14 lead changes in 103 laps. So a little more parity out front, but it really was, I think, a single-file dominant race. You had to get out front, had to use that track position to stay out front. It was the end where things changed up and you could come from a little further back and move things around. And I expected that part at least. I didn't expect it to be so track position dominant earlier in the day, but hey, I guess qualifying does matter in that case. You got to be quick. You got to put yourself in a good position to start the race and get the day rolling. There are some upcoming broadcasts here at PitStop TV as per usual. And of course, well, MPI is always on that list, but this is what we've got to look forward to this coming week. BSR, British Sim Racers from Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, twice this week, as per usual. It's BSR on Tuesday, then BSR-TC on Thursday, and sandwiched in between, you have more next-gen action back on dirt. It's the Outlaw Sim Series this time from the Bristol Motor Speedway. So we had MPI on dirt, then we had 2 next-gen races between Outlaws and MPI at Dega, and now we've got Outlaws on dirt, just kind of fitting right in. Bristol dirt, then Dega, then Bristol dirt. A nice little sandwich there as the Outlaws Sim Series guys will take to the high banks of Bristol, Tennessee. Emerson, Arden, Devin Zimmerman should be along to take you through the action there. And then Thursday evening, we've got round number 7 of the North American Racing League, this time with the GT3 cars from Virginia International Raceway up in Alton, Virginia. A fantastic week of racing before we finish things up next Sunday, or I guess this coming Sunday now, from the Dover Motor Speedway. A great week of racing, Zach. Plenty of ways to follow along with PitStop TV listed on the bottom of your screen.
Well, yeah, you see them down there. You got Facebook, you got Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, all able to follow down there for PitStop TV. Keep up with us on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, but also keep up with our broadcasts that we put on. They go live on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. We look forward to seeing all of you there, should you decide to come out. And yeah, Andrew just pretty much listed everything that we got going on. The British Sim Racers are a blast of guys that just... those guys can put on a show. Same thing with the Outlaw Sim Series, especially Bristol Dirt, it's looking like. So, looking forward to those shows coming up.
Yeah, the VSR shows are 4 races each day. They're 4 15-minute races. So we've got MX5s on Tuesdays with what they call it Trophy Tuesdays. 4 15-minute races, inverts in between. It's the same model on Thursday for the touring cars in BSRTC, but then it's touring cars. So Honda Civics, Hyundai Elantras, Hyundai Velosters, and Audi TCRs, Audi RS3s, I think technically. Fantastic cars throughout the week. And in case you're wondering about where you can next catch the MPI Cup Series, well, we're going to Dover Motor Speedway in less than a week time now. And again, that name, Dover Motor Speedway, so weird to say, Zach. I'm not used to that one. I don't know if I ever will be. But of course, SMI acquiring Dover and its assets, along with Nashville Super Speedway, that Podium will have coverage of in June. Very different. Let's call it Dover Motor Speedway. But that checks in before we have a throwback at Darlington Raceway and then Kansas Speedway to finish out again this first side of races.
Yeah, I mean, Dover Motor Speedway just has... It's just a different ring to it. I'm not even gonna lie. I just like to call it the monster. The monster.
Monster,
you know. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, that one. Yeah,
just Dover.
At least it's not 4 Fresh Desert Eagles, right? We'll let that one marinate. It was great having you all along this evening. Zach, it was great having you back in the booth. It was great working this duo. It always is nice to commentate races with you and get you back into the fold here at PitStop TV. Certainly do appreciate it. On short notice especially. We will catch you next week from Dover Motor Speedway, and that will be it this evening from Talladega. For everybody here at PitStop TV, thanks so much for tuning in. Myself, Andrew Cardinale, with Zach Lindgren alongside, and everybody else here that makes things happen behind the scenes and on other broadcasts. Thanks so much for tuning in. Again, we'll catch you next time here in the MPI Cup Series from Dover Motor Speedway, or if you tune in on Tuesday afternoon at 8 p.m. UK, 3 p.m. Eastern, we will catch you there from Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Until then, have a great night. We will see you later.